that took longer to eat than I thought. I thought I'd done it. Brian Dagul is here with me. It's been a long time. Brian, welcome to our show. Quite frankly, it's lovely to see you tonight.
Quite frankly, it's a wonderful day. I am so happy. I am so happy. I woke up today at 2:47 a.m. for no reason whatsoever. I was pissed off because my sleep's all over the place, scrolling through my phone, and then all of a sudden, bang, here we go. Waking up at stupid o'clock was all worth it.
Well, listen, we're very happy. Many people aren't, and I'm going to bring something up a little bit later to show you one person who is, oh my gosh, this person is deeply upset, but we will get there a little bit later. Brian, this must be bittersweet for you because of all the people I know, you're in my top 2 most Levy despising club. But he has done the right thing, and now Frank's coming in. Where are you at with all of it, mate? Where are you at?
We're with Daniel Levy. Well, actually, let's go back to the start. I wanted Thomas Frank before angepostecoglou. That was my number 1 pick. That's how long I've wanted Thomas Frank. Yeah. Ironically, it was in that game where Harry Kane scored the free kick against Brentford in his last game. And then in the second half, Brentford took us to the cleaners. But I was like, that's the man. That's the man. Then obviously we got angepostecoglou. I am like Stel. I changed slightly with my views on Ange once we won the Europa League. I pick no bones with it. But I always wanted Frank. What I will say, Tottenham have worked brilliantly to get him in straight away. There's been no messing about or prolonged. They wanted this man. They got this man. The rumours have come out that Daniel Levy worked specially to get him, blah, blah, blah. Well, that's what he said about Ange. And then after he sacked, he was like, well, Scott Munn wanted him. I didn't want him. Listen, if Daniel Levy has managed to get him in, then fair play, Daniel Levy. Now the onus is on you to back him, to give him the funds.
Did you just say you're Levy in?
No, I will never, ever say those words in my entire goddamn life. Never, ever. But listen, I will always give credit where it's due. And if he has had some kind of work towards it, well done for doing it quickly and paying the release fee immediately, no hassling. But I'm just, Spurs have got a coach. Spurs have got a man that I think can really work wonders at Tottenham Hotspur.
Yeah. No, absolutely. Reezy, I know you're not happy, mate. Reezy, we know your man's gone. We get it. It's been a few days now. I mean, listen, it's been a few days. You've got to get over it. Listen, obviously, Brian, we've worked together for many years. I know that you have been a very big fan of Thomas Frank for a long time. I'm seeing a lot more people now, I think, after the initial shock of what? Thomas Frank, he's mid-table. Are now starting to have a look and piece together, actually, why are so many people so happy with the news that it's going to be Frank? Talk to me. I know why I really like Thomas Frank. From you, without me putting any words in your mouth, what is it that you like about Thomas Frank and have for a long time? By the way, anybody, I will keep you all up to date with England versus Senegal, currently 1-0. And yes, of course, it was Harry Kane who scored the goal. So, Brian, Frank, talk to me.
Frank, I love that he is very flexible with his tactics. He adapts constantly. People got to remember the work he's done at Brentford is nothing short of miraculous. Nothing short of miraculous. Where you would have thought that Brentford, their main aim every single season is just to stay in the position, to stay in the league. The brand of football he plays, you need to look. A lot of people are saying he's very, very defensive all the time. He's not. He really isn't.
An easy stick to beat someone.
Very easy. But you just got to see, one of the things that a lot of people have been saying about angepostecoglou this season, and I was one of them, is none of these players have progressed. None of them have progressed. Well, you look at Brentford and it's all he has done. Progressed players time after time. And when Spurs lose a big player, like Kane, we'll go reimburse with a Maddison XYZ. He doesn't have that luxury. He brings in people that you wouldn't have heard of, wouldn't know, and straight away and he knows it's coming. He knows that every season, people like Tony, Konza, Watkins, you go further back.
Yeah.
He's had to deal with it. And also, if you go look at his record against the Big Six, it's not bad at all for a team at Brentford. I just think he's outstanding. I really do. I am more excited about this than I am Conte. When Conte and Jose came in, I think we all knew it's not going to work because he won't have the money that Conte and Jose do. But in he came, and it didn't work. The only thing I loved about Conte is I knew at some point he would burn Levy. And when he goes down, he'll take the whole lot with him. But this is a genuine excitement about what's going to happen on the football pitch. Not what could happen at boardroom level. This is all about the football and the players that we have available to him right now that play in his system that he can progress. I am absolutely, honestly, this is a very big day for me. I am over the moon.
Yeah, look, I'm happy as well. I know it's there's I's to be dotted, there's T's to be crossed. But before we get to that, I just want to before we talk about Thomas Frank, I think we've got to address the elephant in the Australian room. This has been doing the rounds in many different formats, and honestly, I don't think I've ever seen anything funnier. I'm going to bring it up. I'm sure many of you have seen it. Before you do, listen to Curly Norman. Hit the like. It is free. It's absolutely free to hit the like button. And so far, only 80 of you have. So please do. Brian, I think this is just wonderful banter.
It is.
This is Nick Rees, the Lord Mayor of Melbourne. He sent a message to Spurs chairman Daniel Levy. Now, honestly, hang on, before I continue this, I think this is hilarious, right? This is the equivalent. This is the equivalent of Graham Potter, right, going out to manage Leon, right? And then Sadiq Khan sending an email to Leon if they sack Graham Potter. I love this. This is absolute top draw banter. It goes like this. On behalf of the people of Melbourne and Premier League fans around the world, I called on Tottenham Hotspur to reconsider its decision to sack coach Ange Postecoglou. In the city of Melbourne, we have followed Ange's career closely for decades. He began his junior career and senior career in Melbourne as a player and later as a coach for South Melbourne in the 80s. Never underestimate, let me get rid of that. Never underestimate Ange's determination to win and his ability to carry teams to greatness. We have seen this time and time again over his career. This year, Tottenham made history by winning the Europa League trophy, its first such win in 17 years. Well, it wasn't history, but okay. It's in 17 years. We will see with further trophies follow if Ange is given a chance. Don't let Tottenham be known as the team that is allergic to silverware. Let Ange lead the players onto greatness in next year's Premier League campaign. Where to start with that, Brian? Do you want to go?
I don't think there is anything. Listen, I think a lot of the thing we're seeing a lot of it, aren't we? There is a lot of negativity already being thrown at Thomas Frank's door, and I've started classing it now as Ange rage. Forget road rage. We've got people, whether they're from Australia or anywhere else in the world, that were predominantly Ange in. And do you know what? With the people that are Ange in, like I said, Stella and I changed our views. I understand some of the frustration of getting rid of him in the manner we did. Forget the league. Yeah. I mean, we're not getting into that conversation. It's done and dusted. Yeah, I get that. I get that. But now people are throwing weight and heat at the incoming manager rather than the man at the top. I just think this is. I think this is hysterical. I think it's honestly. Andrew's gone, and now what we've got people that were saying be positive and back the team and do everything are now going nuts at people backing the team and getting behind this manager, which is bizarre. Which is bizarre. And then I know what's going to happen every time we lose a game. Because I'm delighted. I don't think Spurs are going to go invincible. There will be outright. Oh, you should have stuck with Ange. You should have done this.
Yeah,
but there is a lot. It should be a lot of Frank love right now, but we've got a lot of Ange rage.
Yeah. It's literally like we're using the sacking of Ange. Some fans are using the sacking of Ange to and they're putting that anger on Frank rather than directing it somewhere else.
Yeah.
For me, the two are very separate. Brian, I think it's very well documented. I did not want Ange Postecoglou at this football club.
Really?
I'm not sure if you'd heard. But I mean, we've got the mayor of a city. I'm guessing Melbourne is a city. Yeah, the city in Australia saying, "I urge the chairman to reconsider." In what world does he think that Daniel Levy is going to turn around and go, "Oh shit, hang on, the mayor has told me to bring him back"? I mean, it's bananas, Brian. Like I've never known anything like this.
No. But you know what? The main thing is, whether you like it or not, Ange Postecoglou is gone.
Yeah.
He's gone. The arguments and the big up Wayne. This argument is put to bed. It's now full steam ahead. See what I did there on the Frank engine? Mate, the puns are coming out left, right, and centre. Like I said, Frankie goes to Tottenham. It's just now we start moving forward as a football club, and we see where this takes us.
You guys are obsessed with Ange. You love shoving it in our faces. What? No, Luz. Dude, no. Mate, I'm a very happy person. Tottenham, stop blaming me for Tottenham being toxic. Stop. I'm a YouTuber, right? Stop blaming me for Tottenham being toxic. You guys gone. I just felt that was very funny. My job as a YouTuber is to bring relevant information to the show, and I thought that was very relevant. The last thing I'll say on it is this. I'm getting really bored of people that don't support Tottenham telling us what's best for Tottenham. I'll be honest, it's just frustrating me. Let's get back to Frank before Lurs tells me off again. Look, I've said for a long time, Frank wouldn't have been my number one, but he was one of the ones I wanted. Yep. You know, I've said all year, give me a Silva, a Frank, an Iriola, a Xavi, a Glasner. I want a coach. And you mentioned it at the beginning. I just look at this team in every game we play, Brian, and I just think, are they strangers? Do they train together Monday to Friday? And now I'm hoping that, and I don't mean from game one, it's going to take time. I'm hoping that that's going to be a thing of the past.
It has to be. There's so many things, and with Dan, big up to Dan. I know, obviously, I've been speaking about him as my number one. You other people have mentioned others like the Glasners, but Frank was always in that equation for coaching. I have sent so many videos, I think you have as well now, saying just listen to this guy. Just listen to what this man has to say. Look how he presents himself. Look what he speaks about football. And there have been a lot of people that have said, you know what, I've listened to these now, and I get it. I'm not looking at what's he won? He's only at Brentford. He works on a budget. You listen to this man and you believe. You believe. There is optimism back in the Spurs fan base. There is hope. There's belief. There is to know that this guy is regularly on the training ground is massive. He is fully involved in everything. And I just cannot wait for this man to get started.
I agree. And look, there's a lot to get sorted in the next few days. I know a lot of people are already look, and you might be the wrong person to ask this to, because obviously of your involvement with the protests and how much you are a face of Levy out. Yeah. But I do think already a lot of people are trying to, bang this drum that Levy's dragging his feet. It's taking ages to get this deal done with Frank. But I think people have got to remember that this is Frank and his entire coaching staff. This is a lot to get done. This is a lot of bodies, a lot of solicitors, a lot of compensation packages, a lot of salaries and contracts. Listen, for me, as long as this is done by the weekend, we can start moving forward, right? I don't think this is something that we can have a pop at Levy for, because many said to me, Brian, he's going to do the easy thing. He's going to leave Ange in because it's cheaper. when in fact he's actually just paid £17 million to get rid of Ange and bring in Frank. So he's not taken the easy route this time. And whether that's him or Charrington telling him to or whatever, Spurs haven't taken the easy option.
They haven't. What you like you said, there is. I think what we're going to see this summer, and this will see if it's true, if there is change, is obviously how we approach the transfers this season and wage bill. Is the quality going to be there? But going back to what you said, like you were saying, we have lost out on managers before because Levy has pissed about with saying you can't have your coaching staff or saying you can bring X, Y, Z and not the full amount. Spurs haven't. There's been rumours, but this has been Spurs' number one target the whole time, and they put all their eggs in this basket. And sorting out compensation is always going to take time. But they have moved in Spurs standards, like Usain Bolt, to do this. Now, you can say it's Levy. You could say it's Vinay and Charrington. It could be a combination. But the one thing is Spurs had a target and they have gone and got him. And the staff. It looks like he's bringing a fair few compared to other managers.
Yeah, I like that. I mean, I've said a few times that, since Levy's come back from holiday, since Vinay started, whichever way you want to call it, Spurs has been a revolving door in the last sort of 10 days, hasn't it? Players leaving, 2 managers leaving, a director leaving, coaches leaving. It looks like lots of staff coming in and managers coming out. We wanted change. It remains to be seen whether or not the change is on the surface, i.e., the management and the directors, or whether or not the change is going to filter its way down the pyramid, so to speak, to the playing staff, which is essentially, Brian, a club can be as well run as you want. If you haven't got the footballers on the pitch, it doesn't really matter. Is that a fair assessment?
No, it is as well. And if you look at it, and I will praise, no, I know who this dude is. I know who it is. He's literally. I know it is. It's all fun and games. It's not being taken. If he says anything,
I like about this sentence. It's almost like he forgot to offend me in the original sentence and added it on the end.
Yeah, he doesn't like it when you call him a flaming glass. So you give as good as you get with him. But what I will say, well done to Spurs and to Ange with, is the team Frank is coming into is a lot better than the team Ange came. And yes, he had Kane, and we know he lost Kane quickly.
Yeah.
But you look at the players for whatever formation Frank wants to play, there is a set of players there that can play that formation. The way he develops them, and the track record of doing it, he's walking in at a very, very good time. I think he brings on these players, and obviously we don't know what window we're going to have. I would hope it would be a more successful one than normal ones for quality over quantity, especially with Champions League. But there's a crop of players that Frank can develop big time at Tottenham Hotspur, and we'll start seeing the best of them. They're players, everyone's clean slate. I think Johnson is going to be night and day difference. Solanke is going to get more service. People like Porro, there's going to be big improvements.
Yeah, absolutely. And Chris, sorry, I saw this comment and I said this to everyone earlier. I've spoken to a few people today and said, yeah, I've seen the 4-minute video of Jason Koundé and I hated the fact that he was absolutely 100% spot on about Spurs. I hated it, but he was correct. Credit where credit's due. Look, with that in mind, Brian, and I know I've got you until 9 p.m.
Yeah.
So thank you for your time.
No
Alex Crook has reported, I'll tell you what, why don't I show everyone what Alex Crook said, shall I? So Alex Crook has said this, Tottenham Hotspur, the latest club to hold talks with Antoine Semenyo's camp, but it's likely to take a club record fee to prize him away. Bournemouth, who are under no financial pressure, I bet they're not. Everyone they're buying, they're selling for massive fees. Yeah. Under no financial pressure to sell. Hunt says he stays, more here. Now, what I'm going to say is this, Brian. I know this is a type of signing that will split people. But what I do want to say is if this is someone that Thomas Frank has identified as, that's a great guy for me, I'm all for it. Go get him. Yep. Do your thing.
Yep.
How do you feel about this player and this type of signing?
It's a kind of a tackle we're missing, isn't it? Someone that's direct, gets the ball and just terrifies people down the byline, which we are desperately missing, and Solanke needs. Listen, we look at it. Danny Rose once famously said we have to Google the players' names. Thomas Frank, if he brings anyone in, anyone, I'm not going to say a damn word negative about it because of his talent ID and what his team. You will not see people going to think, what the hell have you done with Brian? Because football-wise, I'm going to trust absolutely everything this man does. And he's got a track record to show it with developing players. So if Semenya is one he wants, I want us to have a winger like him. If that's what he wants, go get him. Go get him. Let's see if we can.
Yeah, and I think the problem we've got now is there's a lot of players now that they are going to cost a bomb because we're in an era, Brian, where clubs don't have to sell. There are some that do. Like if you go abroad, there's a lot of clubs like in Italy, for example, where you're going to pick up some bargains. But if you are going to try and get talent like Semenyo, who I'm guessing is homegrown as well. I think he was from Bristol City originally, right? Someone might be able to correct me on that. Then these clubs dictate the fee. So I know there'll be a lot of Spurs fans going, oh my God, 65, 70 million. I get the feeling whoever we want, we're going to be paying that, whether it's Eze, whether it's Mbeumo, whether it's Semenyo. We're going to be paying a lot of money for this talent that already plays in the Premier League. And unfortunately, Levy and co are going to have to, open up their wallets to that, aren't they?
Well, they are. I mean, what I will say with Spurs is obviously we've been at the top. We've slumped so far down, and I won't put all that on Ange. I do put some of that on Levy because he hasn't paid the transfer fees or want to smash the wage structure. We're playing catch up. I saw a comment from Reezy saying if he's going to got a better team than Ange, surely we should get fifth like Ange. No, we shouldn't. Well, no, we should. But the only reason I'm saying people are, do you know what? There's so many people going, oh, get ready for mid-table obscurity. The top seven, or maybe not Forest, are so far ahead of us. So far ahead of us. What are people expecting? I don't think if Zinedine Zidane or Xavi came here, they force us into the top four. There's such a gap at the moment. I don't get it. When people say mid-table, what are people expecting from Spurs next season? Especially if we don't go out and buy quality players like Semenya, Eze, let's say a Paulinho. You mentioned a left back I saw the other day who I'd love us to sign, which is Robinson from Fulham.
Oh, yeah, I like Robinson. I like Robinson.
So this is what we need: quality. We need pure quality.
Yeah. Look, absolutely. By the way, yes, the person I'm sending you the link who's just messaged me. And then after 9, after Brian goes, I didn't want it to be too many people. But after Brian goes on, I might let more and more people on. Yeah, mate, you're absolutely right. I also think that you're right with the whole coaching thing. And what I mean by that is when you make signings for a coach, I think you can sometimes be a little bit more lenient on what those signings look like because you know that the coach will get the best out of them. And I kind of get the Semenyo one. The Semenyo one, to me, I almost feel like Frank would be able to get Semenyo and do with him what he's done with Mbeumo, which is taken from a player that people said, oh, he's good, to a player that people are now going, oh, he's bloody good. He's excellent. And listen, we've got little Matty K who's asked to join. Matty, haven't you got an exam tomorrow?
That's why I'm only drinking for 5 minutes.
Okay, good.
We're gonna have words, brother. You need to be studying.
Yeah, you've got to be. Yeah, you got to study. I'll tell you what. It's past. I'm giving you till 22, and then I'm kicking you out if you haven't left by yourself. And you're
gonna have to write 100 lines. I will study more.
Yeah. So you just messaged me and said, "Can I come on for 5 to 10 minutes?" The floor is yours, Matty K. Put this Brian Dagul fraud in his place. Go for it.
No, I was just doing work and I had a 5-minute break and I opened YouTube and I saw your channel and I saw my favorite 2 YouTubers. So I had to come and say hi. I've no clue what you're talking about, but I heard the last 1 minute and I heard Brian saying about Frank should get any player he wants to get. That's completely right. Whoever Frank wants, Frank should get. We shouldn't. I know that it's been confirmed that Levy's not going to be like as much in the transfers, but Levy's going to get the final decision. We all know that. But Levy needs to do whatever Frank wants to do. Levy needs to give the money to Frank and say, buy the players you need for your system, for what your plans are. We can't have. I mean, we don't know if Andrew's backed. It was clear that Pochettino was not backed. But we need to back Frank, and that's such an important thing. Whether it's backing him with wages for players to get the higher caliber of players, or whether it's backing him with the higher prices to get the bigger players. Who knows? Because if we offered Mbeumo a higher wage, maybe he would consider us compared to the likes of United, especially if we have Thomas Frank. Yeah, what do you think of that?
Yeah, Brian, do you want to go first? Do you want to answer that?
I will have. I was listening. My mum was trying to call me from the Greek islands, so I just hung up on my mother whilst Matt was talking. So I'll get back to her. She should know better. It's Thomas Frank Day. What do I want to speak to my mother for?
Right, exactly.
My mother needs to sort out her bloody priorities. Sorry, Matt. What was you saying? Junior.
I was saying that Frank should get whatever Frank wants. Levy should fully back him with the wages, with the prices. Whoever Frank wants, we need to go all out and get them.
I will say, what I will say with this is obviously we do need. I've always said, and I think Savva said this as well. I've got no problems with us signing youngsters, but like Liverpool and the other big teams, for every youngster they buy, they go and buy 2 quality stars to help them, or they double up. So there's quality coming in from now, and we've had it so many times where people are building the team for today whilst we're building the team for tomorrow. We need some quality. If we went and signed, let's just say Eze and Paulinho. Let's just say they were the 2 big stars, and then we went and signed a couple more youngsters, or cheaper players that Frank has identified. I will be delighted. But Thomas Frank has shown, I think for the first time in a long time, we've got a coach and a network of people around him saying that these players I could turn into a star. They have something in my system. And you've got to remember, he will use them in multiple different systems. We will not be playing the same way the whole season through. And this man needs, he's asked for assurances, like I'm sure every manager. But with Vinay and Charrington, I think there's big changes this summer. This summer we will see some changes in the way we approach things. And if there's a man that deserves to get a good player, you got to remember Champions League as well. He's got Champions League money, Champions League football. He needs some decent players. So let's hope that Levy and Spurs do back him. He's such a good coach.
I mean, you both... Go on.
Sorry, I have a question on your question, Matty. But, and I agree, and I'm going to play devil's advocate. I'll put that out front now so people don't think I'm flipping and flopping. What if Thomas Frank asks for a player that maybe I don't want, or you don't want, Matty, or the rest of the fan base don't want? How will we know whether the player we're bringing in, we're just moaning because we don't like him, or Thomas Frank wanted him? How will we know? How can we make that differentiator? Because in my experience, Matty, what we've done down the years very well as a fan base is anyone that turns out well, we go, Poch wanted him, Ange wanted him, Jose wanted him. The ones that don't work, we go, he didn't want that player. That's a club signing. How will we know the difference, Matty?
We won't. We saw with Ange that Ange said that they were his players. I never believed that. I don't believe they were Ange's players. But we saw a manager like Conte, he's not as lenient as a manager like Ange. And I think Frank's similar. I don't think Frank will say in an interview they're my players if they're not his players, just like Ange did. I think Frank will be perfectly honest. And Frank, you can see from day one, Frank's said to Levy he needs his assurances of what's going to happen, that he gets to say. I think that's the reason. I think if we see Frank's visibly upset and he's not happy, then we know they're not his signings. If we see an interview saying, I'm really happy with this signing, he's going to be really good, then we can clearly see that he is the player we wanted. But as again, we need to go whatever Frank wants. If Frank doesn't want to play like Eze, don't get Eze. Get his alternative, whether it's Mbeumo, whether it's Semenyo, whether he wants, we need to go out and get him.
even if we don't agree with it as fans, right?
Yeah.
Anyone that comes in,
are we going to give it? Are we going to give it that grace? Because, okay, so for example, Matisse Tell. If Matisse Tell signs next week,
yep.
Are we all saying I want him because Frank's okayed it, or are we going to stick with the majority of people that have said don't want Tell before?
I think on my part, and I said I don't want him back. I've quite openly said it. I don't think he's right. For I think if he'd been under Ange, maybe. But I thought Frank might have wanted that 35, whatever the fee was, to invest in a player he's seen, he knows, and he wants. I personally think we can get better. But again, like I said, if Thomas Frank brings in Matthias Tell, with the way he can develop people, won't hear a bad word about it from me. Won't hear a bad word from me. Not a single transfer we make will I say a bad word. The only bad word coming out of me this season about Tottenham Hotspur is about the man up top. That's it. That's it.
Okay. I'm just checking. Go on, mate.
I'm in complete agreement with Brian. Nearly everything you said. Although, if we do sign Tell, let's say next week for 40 million, and Frank isn't saying, I really like Tell, I'm happy with this signing, and it's becoming increasingly obvious that it wasn't his signing, then I'll be upset again at Levy again. And it's the same thing. It goes back to it every time. When he's getting the players that he wants.
You have to remember, Thomas Frank isn't going to come in and the first thing he's going to do about a transfer is go, I didn't want him.
Yeah.
He ain't going to. He's not going to go, I've got the job. Oh, by the way, that week 1, week 2, I didn't want him. Why?
And that's for us fans to infer what he's saying and to actually think about it. Because Frank isn't a liar. Frank isn't like Ange. He won't say stupid things in interviews. But what we could do is, if we don't give that 40 million for the Tell signing, imagine that 40 million you could put to another signing, like Eze, 68 million, however much it is, or even Mbuemo, 60 million. Imagine how much of that budget could go to a proper, experienced player that could change us so much. I mean, you look at Tell in the last 4 or 5 months he's been here. He has not changed anything. He's been so poor. He hasn't proven. He's got good mentality. We can see that. He's got potential. But what does potential mean? It's spending 40 million on potential. So stupid.
It's a good shout. I think that's a good shout from the normal one. There's always, like, for a new manager, kind of a marquee, isn't there? It's just, do you know what, Jacob, buddy? Of course, I'm a big fan of it. I have been for a long time. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. Everyone is entitled to their opinion. But I have agreed with Jacob with what he's saying about. Listen, I will stand by what Stella and I have been saying recently. He is a champ, and Postecoglou did something that no other manager has done. And like we all said, he deserves respect and everything for that. The league form was atrocious. We could all agree with that. But it's gone now, and it's time to get behind or all aboard the freight train or whatever. But I do understand the negative, or not, I don't understand it, but I understand the frustrations people are having with Frank. But what I will say to both of you, people, when we won the Europa League, we were favourites. We were favourites the whole tournament. It doesn't give you the divine right to win it at all. I'm not saying that. But when you do that, your favourites, obviously, you're how many people at the beginning of the season, and I'm not just talking YouTube content creators or people in the chat, how many people in the pub or whatever do their Premier League, Carabao Cup and FA Cup predictions go, do you know what, Brentford?
Right. Bang on.
Brentford,
No
I think Brentford could do it this year. Brentford for the cap. No one. So when they say, what has he won? What are people expecting at Brentford? That's the bit. I do get that he hasn't won anything, but he should have probably won at Bromby. But obviously I know they're a huge club there. But when he comes to England, and there's also people saying about he only won the playoff. The playoff is the most expensive, most pressurised game in football.
Yeah.
In league football. To get into the Premier League. And when people got to remember when he took over Brentford and Dean Smith was there, they were like mid-table to bottom half of the table. And he got them into the Premier League.
I'm just checking to see if I can find out what it was for. Can anyone out there find out what the odds were for 24-25 for Brentford to win the FA Cup or League Cup? I'd love to know. Listen, Matty, I agree with you. I don't agree with the part where if Frank doesn't come out and say, I really wanted this guy, that listen, I think that it's a dangerous game when managers start doing that. I think it's a dangerous game. And Brian's right. He's not going to come out immediately, like 1 week into his tenure, and go, "Yeah, I didn't want him." It's, it was done before I arrived. And,
there's clearly a reason why he's rejected so many clubs and accepted to come to us.
Yeah, sure. Listen, and we don't know what that is, right? We don't know what that is. Is it timing? Is it that he's taken Brentford as far as feasibly possible? Maybe he wants a new challenge in his life. Who knows? Maybe that we've courted him. Maybe it is the relationship with Johan Lang, and that no one's giving that any credit. All of these different things. Look, I think we've got to be. Listen, there are players that I want and players that we want, players that we don't want. For me, I hope this man gets a marquee signing. I hope he gets an Eze. I think the Mbeumo one, I think we've got to stop talking about Mbeumo unless something miraculous happens. He's turned down Arsenal. He's turned down Newcastle. He's turned down bigger teams than us, right? To go to Man United, who are bigger than us. So I can't see in any way that that's going to happen.
Can I ask you one question before I leave?
Of course.
If
you don't
Eze
really
comes,
have to go right now, by the way. You are welcome to stay until 9, as long as you don't get in trouble with your mum.
It's fine. I'll leave in 5 minutes. If Eze does come this week for let's say 70 million, where does it fit with Maddison, Kulusevski, Sonny? Because it's just a big thing if Sonny leaves or not, because that plays a big role. Because we can't have Eze starting every single game at left wing, which is what he'd want. So where does Sonny fit in it? And if you're starting in the cam, where does Maddison and Kulusevski fit into it?
I think this is where, Matty, just remember what we always ask for from Daniel Levy. Just remember what we always ask for from Tottenham Hotspur. We want to be a big club.
Yep.
Big clubs don't ever go, oh, well, what if we sign him, where does he play? Yeah? Man City have signed Rayan Cherki today. I don't reckon any part of Rayan Cherki or the Man City fans have turned around and gone, oh, hang on. But you've got Phil Foden, but you've got Bob, you've got Marmoush, you've got Doku, you've got Savio. Top players want to play with other top footballers. Yep. For me, listen, I don't know what you think, Brian, but for me, that should be a nice problem to have rather than we've got to sell first. For me,
it is. You got to remember, we're playing in 4 competitions next year. Game time is going to be there, and if we want our best players available, especially after the injuries we had last season, it's keeping them fresh. It is keeping them fresh, ready, and this is how you get them. But like Savva said, the players want competition. You look at the golfing quality that we've had over the years from the starting 11 to the subs bench. It's ridiculous compared to our rivals. Ridiculous. And these players will want to come and play in the elite competitions. And it's a good way to keep our players fresh and rotate, which is what Frank has done in cup competitions. Sometimes to his detriment, which has stumped him in domestic cups. But again, at Brentford, it's been about get Premier League survival. And then we'll deal with everything. So we need the bigger players. We need to make this squad stronger.
Another player I wanted to talk about, because I heard Savva, you said on Sean's show before, about Manuel Solomon. You said you'd sell him, and what was he said about him again?
I said that for me, he's a very good championship player and at best, an impact player off the bench in the Premier League.
Okay, so firstly, I disagree with that second point because we haven't seen him in Premier League. We've seen him at Burnley. No, sorry, not Burnley. Okay, first of all, he was at Shakhtar firstly, which was very, very good at Shakhtar. Then he went to Fulham, and he was very good at Fulham. And then he was a free agent. We got him, and we were very excited about him. He looked like a brilliant player. Then he didn't play for the whole season, except he played very well in that Burnley game, 5-2. Which he got 2 assists, I think. That game, we all thought he was very, very good. Then he was injured the whole season or wasn't playing due to political reasons or whatever it was, he wasn't playing. So we can't judge him off that. Then he went to, where did he go after that? Leeds, on loan. And he's played very, very well all season. One of the best players.
let me ask you a question, mate. Again, think back to my previous answer just then about and Eze be there, and Madison and Kulusevski and blah, blah. Think about what you go to the Levy out protests, right? You constantly say Daniel Levy's ruined your club, our club, right? You constantly say that. You constantly say put the money down, get better players. If you're going to do that, don't you think it's a bit hypocritical in the same breath to start wanting Manor Solomon as in our first 11? I mean, is Manor Solomon the guy where you go, that's why we got in the Champions League for? Really? Is it, in your opinion?
First of all, we don't know yet. Secondly, I'm not saying he should be starting week in, week out over the likes of Eze and Buemo. He should be on our squad and he could play. If we're playing twice a week, being in the Premier League, FA Cup, Carabao Cup, Champions League, then we are going to need lots of players, a good squad. And Manor Solomon as a backup left winger is not bad. He's a good player and he's proven he's a good player in the Championship. Whether he can do that in the Premier League, it's not answered yet, but we'll see. But then again, we have so many.
Yeah, I think Solomon's out the door. I think Solomon is totally and utterly out the door. If league's coming for him, where he knows he's loved, where he knows he's going to get first team football, this is the thing, Matty. If we're going to start wanting to demand better from the big boys, somehow we're going to need to raise funds. When I was doing a thing with Ben and Sim the other day, you look at our homegrown and coach players for Europe, we're in a bad way there. We need some club trained players and everything. And we're going to need, as much as we have the money, we're going to need to get rid of some people. And I think people like Richarlison, people like Solomon, Romero, should he stay or he should go, they're easy sales. I don't see Solomon, when you're talking about the wingers we're trying to get in, especially if Tell is coming in as well, Solomon, I think Solomon will be going back to Leeds personally.
Yeah, do you see? The question is, do you see Solomon as? Have a look at the teams we want to be like and want to be around, right? When you look at Aston Villa with the likes of Morgan Rogers, for example, right? When you look at the players they've got, when you look at Arsenal with Bukayo Saka, right, and they're looking at players like Rodrigo. When you look at Liverpool with Diaz, Gakpo, Salah. Who are they? They're buying Florian Wirtz. When you look at these, and I don't need to mention all of Man City's. Look, when you mention Chelsea's, is Solomon? Is that what we want? Is that you know what I mean, Matty? I feel like we can't have a pop at Levy on one hand for wanting better, and then be championing Manor Solomon as the saviour. You know,
as a squad player, I think he's decent. But then again, Levy's rubbing his hands because he's got him on a free transfer. And if he can get 15, 20 million from him, that's pure profit. That's the reason we got him, right? But also, we have how many wings? If we get Tell in, we've got Tell, Odobert, Yang Min Hyuk, Mikey Moore, Heung-min Son, Brandon Johnson, Manor Solomon. So many. And then we want to go out and buy an Eze or an Mbeumo. We need to offload some of these first. And we're not going to offload Odobert. We're not going to offload Yang Min Hyuk. We're not going to offload Mikey Moore. We're not going to get rid of Johnson. So it's only really...
You've answered your own question, haven't you? You've in a roundabout way, you've answered why Manor Solomon will not be at this football club. Because Brendan Johnson...
Hyuk will go out on loan.
Yeah. See, for me, I want the next level. By the way, I also don't see Eze as an out-and-out wide man. I think Eze is a bit of a maverick that you can say... I think with an Eze, you don't need to do too much. With an Eze, I think you put your arm around the shoulder and say, you know how good you are. I want you to keep dropping into these little pockets in between the left-hand side and the forward. Get the ball. You're intelligent enough. But if we buy a winger, I want it to be a Semenyo. I want it to be a Matoma, an Mbeumo. You know, I feel like we need that level, not Solomon. Sorry, for me. He's not quite there.
We watched Eze come to our ground a few weeks ago and he ran the show. 2 goals. He was brilliant.
Yep.
And then in a certain way, I'm glad that we didn't get him last season, because if he played under Ange in, let's say, Madison's role, or even in Sonya's role, imagine Udogie and Porro inverting into him and not giving him the space. I just don't see it. But again, we haven't seen Madison without Ange's suicidal system. Maybe Maddison is that player still, and maybe he'll be so much better without people taking up the space, and he'll thrive a lot more. I've said it to you the other day, Savva. If we're not having these inverted fullbacks and Kulusevski, Son, Sarr going into him, Solanke dropping back, then maybe he'll thrive so much more. And it's the same with Eze. So in a way, I'm glad he didn't come because we would have ruined him. So now Frank clean slate.
Matty, you know what you also got to add with this? We're all talking transfers in and out respectively. You look at this team right now, like we were saying before you came on, and the players that could potentially progress. If you look at it, if we get a number 6 in, please God, and he will bring in a number 6 in, we're not going to be defending as highly as we are. Van der Ven isn't going to have to make as many ridiculously long sprints and keep him fitter and fresher. There are Porro, who Frank waxes lyrical about, will actually improve, like he's done with Lewis Potter. There are so many Spurs players there that once he gets his hands on it, could potentially progress so much and develop into so much more. I actually don't think in the transfer market, if we'd got another manager in, or if Andrew stayed, I would have thought we needed to bulk up big time because of injuries, because of lack of development from the players we've seen this year. But with Frank and the players that we've got to potentially develop, I think we need a number 6, a right winger, and a backup as essentials, and a backup left back for Destiny. So Spence can stay with Porro, and Destiny can have some cover. And the rest are those are the 3 key areas for me. The way he can progress these players, like I said, Maddison will be a freer role. We've got so many good players that could potentially progress under him. I don't think we actually need as many players as we think we do.
Yeah, but you mentioned there Van der Ven and Porro. Firstly, Van der Ven, he's very, very good in Ange's system because of his pace. And with our crazy high line, his pace saves us so many times. And that's the reason he looks so much better than he is, in my opinion. I'm not saying he's overrated. He's an extremely good player. But when we have that, when we have him so pacey running back, making all these, saving us in so many times, he's so good. But when he's scared to use his pace, or in Frank's system where we have a normal line and it's not so high, what are his good attributes? Because he's bad at heading. Go on.
Look, I listen. Let me sit on the fence here with this. I share your concerns. I don't know if it's a concern, more that I haven't seen the evidence. I feel sorry for Mickey Van der Ven because we haven't really been allowed to see how good he is outside of Ange's system, right? We haven't really been able to see, right, in a normal back 4, which plays as a 4 and not as a 2 with a ridiculous high line, how good are you? You know, and when you look at centre-backs, the key things you're looking at them is, one, is their positioning. But again, I don't mean in an Ange crazy system. In a normal system, the 3 or 4 key things for a centre-back: 1, your positioning; 2, your concentration; 3, how you're marking your man. Some centre-backs get too tight. Some sit off a little bit and nick the ball away, i.e. Ledley King. Absolutely superb at doing that, right? Also, what's your concentration levels like? Yeah, centre-backs have to be switched on. Now, I agree with you, Matty. I want to see that from Mickey Van der Ven in a normal back 4. That doesn't mean I don't think he can do it. My worry with Mickey Van der Ven is nothing to do with that. My worry with Mickey Van der Ven is the injuries. Mm-hmm. That's my worry. Is I've said to you for ages, Matty, if we're going to build a team, can you build a team around Van der Ven and Romero when both of them miss half a season every season? And that's my worry about them. And that's the reason why I said, if the big bid comes in for Romero, yeah, get in a centre-back that's fit and use the money to go again. Brian, where are you at with the whole Mickey?
Like I said, I still think, listen, Van der Ven will still use his pace all the time. He just won't have to use it for all those long, crazy sprints all the time. And with that number 6, you're keeping him fresh. He's actually not just him. The whole back line is going to have protection. It's going to reduce the amount of crazy sprints that they're going to have to do. It's going to make it easier for Mickey, make it easier for, should it be Romero or Danso if Romero goes or whoever. I think there is so much to look forward to. Like I said, you're both right with Mickey. His pace is his main number 1 asset. Number 1 asset, but also the most important thing about Mickey Van der Ven is his fitness. And I'd rather keep him fitter for longer rather than see him making these mad dash sprints every single game and looking like the hero. I think he's a wonderfully gifted defender. that lacks aerial ability, like I think a lot of us do. But with a Kevin Danso, who is an absolute beast in the air, and aerially dominant, Dragoshin coming back, if Romero's there, so much the better. I think you see the best out of Mickey Vednet. I can't honestly. I think people might be thinking about a bang to the head with how excited I am and the possibilities that we have with this man. I am honestly.
I think we're going to see, Matty, for me, I think we're going to see a lot of the players that we've said have been really, really poor. I think we're going to see their standards raised. I think a lot of players have been judged off the back of what is, I'll be polite to Ange, a chaotic system. Let me be polite. You know the words I want to use. I'm going to say chaotic. Danso, for example. Danso is not the big, sexy name, the exciting centre-back. But Danso in a back four that's actually well drilled is a very good centre-back. He's a no-nonsense, clear the ball, head everything away, get in the tackle, put your body on the line. And every team needs players like that. Same with Radu Dragoshin. Problem is, we've seen these players and judged them. We've judged them based on this high line where everyone needs to be brilliant at bringing the ball out and everyone needs to be checking their rear view mirror to run backwards. So other managers don't have players like Romero and Van der Ven, and they still defend well. Nottingham Forest, Milenkovic and Murillo. Yeah, no-nonsense defenders. Look how good Forest are defensively. Everton, very good defensively. Why? Don't play a crazy high line. Don't have a back two. They've got a back four. I think we're going to see that, and I think our opinion on a lot of footballers might just change over the next year or so. Just my opinion. Might just change.
I completely agree. I'm going to have to leave in a second, but I'll end off just talking about Frank for a minute. I'm going to repeat what I said yesterday a bit, but I think I rate him so highly. Just because he's not a big name and he's not been at big clubs like the other managers we are being linked to. He's so intelligent. He's so consistent. He's so sensible. He's so humble. He's everything that Ange wasn't. And that's exactly what we need. At this time, at this club, it's what we need. It's good for both the fans and Levy. I'm being honest. Frank is Levy's favourite manager because he's been on low budget. He's been using players with low wages, and that's what I mean. But you look at Frank, he's had 30 million every single year for 7 years, and he came to Brentford as a mid-table championship club, finishing 10th, and he's come to them. He's got them promoted to the Premier League. He's got them in the Premier League, like firmly in the Premier League. Got them top half of the Prem twice. And that's a brilliant achievement when they're 19th highest wages in the league. So for me, having a team which has the second least wages in the whole league and spending 10 million a year net profit, that's a brilliant achievement.
Matty, absolutely. Just before I let you go, just so you know, in the last 4 Premier League seasons, Thomas Frank has the best points to salary ratio in the Premier League. So for me, I don't see the negatives. I know a lot of people just keep saying this word winner, and they're making it sound like Tottenham win a trophy every year. They're making it sound like we're Man City or Liverpool, and we're not. So I feel like that's got to stop. I think everyone needs to get behind this guy. And I think we've got to realize as well, he's got a lot of work to do. This is a very uncoached setup. He's got a lot of work to come in to rectify from what Ange has done, from my opinion. But Matty,
thanks for having me.
See you later.
Thank you for coming on, mate. Tomorrow morning's exam is maths, is it?
Last
maths.
one. Ever.
Oh, are you allowed a calculator?
Yeah.
Okay, good. Are you allowed a phone with AI?
No.
Okay, just checking.
Is it one of those? Is it one of those scientific calculators that no one knows what all the buttons do? Yes, it is. There you go.
Yeah, I only know what buttons 1 to 9 do, and the divide plus subtract.
And the square root button, and the square root.
Matty, do not be in my chat. Go and revise.
Yeah. Go do it, brother.
You will be in my... I know you will, but don't be. All right?
Yeah. Brian,
good
one more thing.
Tomorrow.
Remember, I'm the leader. Big up, everyone.
You can scream. You're not the leader. You're not the leader. He literally. He wants to be head of the Frankaholics. He's not.
The Frankaholics. Love it.
I am
Big
a
up,
former
big up
Frankaholic.
to little Matty K. Big up as well. Let me do a couple of quick super chats. Hennessy's been a member for 21 months now. Fair play to you, my man. 21 months. Said, evening, gents. Very happy with Frank. Big up. Hennessy, you've got two big Thomas Frank supporters here. Listen, as I said, I'm happy. I trust him. He comes across absolutely brilliantly. And if anyone, I keep urging people, if anyone has not watched videos on him, his podcasts, his tactical masterclasses, go and watch them. They're absolutely brilliant. Big up to you, Hennessy. Big up to Chris Motley, who said, really looking forward to seeing some of the current squad improve under Frank. We're going to talk about this in a second before. Dagul, you need to go, don't you?
I know. I'll stay till 10 past. I'll stay till 10 past.
What a gentleman. He's going to stay till 10 past. We'll talk about this, Chris, because yes, that is I'll tell you what, I'm going to leave that there. We'll talk about that in a second. Jordan, very generous. Thank you very much, my friend. Said if Frank wants tell, that is fine. But if it leads to poor results, then he has to be held accountable. Levy was blamed for signing Werner twice, but he wouldn't have done it if Ange said no to him. Look, I think absolutely. We'll never know to what extent managers want players. We'll never know to what extent they've said no, and then managers and chairman have brought the players over their head. But you're right. If it doesn't work, then I expect to not see Tell in the 11. That's his job as manager.
Yep.
I played him. It's not worked. Right. I'm going to drop him until I can coach him better. But big up to you, Jordan. I completely agree with what you're saying. This is huge, isn't it? It is. Brian, I've said for ages, when everyone's backing Ange saying, oh, but he hasn't got the squad, I don't think the squad is anywhere near as bad as many people make it out. Mm-hmm. What do you think?
I think it was the way the team was set up last year. It was very, very... we still should have been higher than 17th. No ifs, buts or maybes. But obviously injuries, we can all talk about that. But you would have thought it's better. You would have thought it's better. And you really would have thought you would have seen some progression from players that played a lot of games. You really thought you would have seen something to say, do you know what, this guy's gone up a notch, taken it up a couple of gears. You just can't. You just couldn't see it. Now you look at this. Like we said at the beginning, Frank is so flexible and adaptable with formations. The way, if you watch these videos and he speaks about how he trains and prepares for games ahead, and how he starts from midweek concentrating on the opposition and how to neutralise their main threats whilst being able to use ours, you just see that you've got the players there that can play in multiple systems for him. You could just see, and this is why as well, someone like Archie Gray, who played a host of positions last season, whether he, and ironically, he looked worse in his actual position, didn't he? He looked worse in midfield. But the education he would have had this season, now with Frank, who desperately wanted him, he'll pick the baton up and he will start progressing these players. You're going to see a lot of growth from players. You really are. It may take time. He's got off to poor starts to begin with. Hopefully it won't happen here. But there is some genuine... I mean, if I was to say to people in the chat, who are the first three that you think would improve under him, we asked that question on Tottenham on Tour today, and I said Porro, Johnson and Solanke. And then there was others that were like Bentancur, Sarr. There are so many people that think so many different options are going to progress. It's brilliant.
Listen, Brian, I completely agree with you. And it's for that reason that I don't understand such hate. And listen, I get it, right? I get this whole argument of, but we've won a trophy. But the trophy is brilliant in the moment. But a football club has so many more facets to it throughout the year. And coaching and developing players is one of those facets.
Yep.
You can't every year say, we finished 17th and won a trophy. It's the likelihood isn't going to happen. The anomaly is that you finish that low down and win a trophy. So you've got to be making players better. And one thing that people never seem to realize is if players aren't being coached better, the club doesn't make as much money. Yep. And I know we're not accountants. I know we're not accountants, Brian. But football clubs have to make money on footballers. That's just common sense.
Correct.
If you're not coaching anyone better, you're not going to get back what you paid for them. And ideally, more. You're not going to get a profit on them. So listen, that's what we've got to do. I'm going to bring something up that someone sent to me. And again, I hear this all the time. He's played Ange Postecoglou X amount of times and he never beat him. Why would we bring him in? Which I love, because by that theory, why would anyone want Pep Guardiola above Ange? Because Ange beat him twice this year, you know? So it just doesn't make sense. But this I thought was very interesting. I thought this was extremely interesting. Let me move that 1 second. For everyone that keeps saying to me, what does Frank do? Well, I mean, he's top. he's top of the record of clubs against the Big Six this season.
Yeah. No, that wasn't this season. This was a couple of years ago.
Sorry, a couple of seasons ago. But
this is the season Man City did the treble in, by the way.
Yeah. So he's shown. And by the way, that would have been a season where they would have been in the Premier League for what, their second year?
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
I mean, he's got it in him, hasn't he? He has got it in him to do well. He truly has.
Correct. I think his Big Six record in the whole time of being at Tottenham Hotspur, where was it? Being at Brentford, was he's beaten Liverpool, Arsenal, us all away. He's beaten Chelsea twice, or I think it might be 3 times, but he's won away at all the Big Six.
Mm. Yeah.
For a team of Brentford with obviously the weaker players and the low wages and what they won, go fight. I don't even think like you saw in that chart, even Big Six teams haven't got that record against Big Six teams. It's an incredible, and you know what's going to show it even more, and people what might not see is if Brentford go down next season, yes, they're going to lose Mbeumo or whatever, but if they go down the one season that Frank wasn't there, it will show just what a great job Thomas Frank did in constantly keeping them up against all those odds. He's honestly, I can't wait for people. I think a lot of people as well, Savva, once he does his press conference, an opening interview on Spurs TV and they release it, I think he's going to win a lot of people over because, like you said, you and I and other people like Danny and other people I know have watched all the content of Frank. And yeah. I always say, when you're watching these content, imagine you're like in the auditions of The Voice, where they can't see the actor, the singer, or the performer. Judge it on looks. Take out the he's Brentford manager. What's he won? Take out the he's got. Just listen to what the man's saying, and as soon as you listen to him, by 1 or 2 podcasts, you're like, do you know what? I get him. I get this. I understand now. He is going to be a great, great addition for Tottenham Hotspur. He really is.
No, I agree with you. I agree with you. Listen, I'm looking forward to. I think you sent me the other day, didn't you? You said, "What is he? Tactically calm, tactically flexible, and something else." And it was like, yeah, he's, yeah, and
yeah.
I'll tell you what I'm looking forward to as well. I'm looking forward to wanting to watch my manager in press conferences.
Mm-hmm.
I'll be honest, I found the last 2 years really difficult to want to watch Ange because I find him a little bit rude to everybody in interviews. I've just found it a little bit like that I don't identify with him, if that makes sense. That I don't think, yeah, I love that guy. That guy is talking on my behalf. You know, the fighting with the fans. I just can't see that Thomas Frank's going to be that guy. Will he?
Yeah, I think he handles himself completely differently. He really is. I've been watching things all across, not just Tottenham things and Brentford things, and people in football have not got a single bad word saying him. Whether it's coaches, managers, players, whether it be the media, there's not one bad word said about this man. And like you said, you and I have watched so many pieces of content with him. In every single one, he comes off. And he said one in something that I saw today, that he says, do you know what? After every fixture, I allow myself to celebrate the victory for 24 hours or be pissed off and upset for 24 hours. But once that 24 hours is up, it's done. It's focused on the next game. It's like 24 hours. We just the things he says, the 4 pillars that he has for how he conducts himself and wants the club culture to be. He talks so much about culture, and we keep going on as a football club. We want a winning culture. I heavily blame Levy for a lot of the culture and and everything at this football club. Well, Thomas Frank is one that builds it. Thomas Frank will build a culture at this football club. Hopefully, it will become a winning one, as in trophies and everything. But he's gonna set some standards at Tottenham Hotspur and principles to stand by, and that's what we want.
No, I completely get it. And listen, before I let you go, because I know you've got 1 minute, the word culture for me is really important. And look, we've seen a lot of people, by people I mean players, come out in the last sort of week, last 4 or 5 days, waxing lyrical about Ange and thank you for everything you've done for me and this, that, the other. And I just find it all a little bit fake because, you know, we're down in 17th. We're losing week in, week out. The players look like they can't be bothered. And then all of a sudden I don't feel like the culture was there. I felt like it looked like a lot of players that weren't buying into what he was doing on the pitch. They can say they were, but I'm really hoping that is what Thomas Frank can bring. Brian?
Yeah, I will say that we'll go. I think you could listen. What I will say about the Ange and the players, I think right at the end they were playing for him, for the cup, for the trophy. The league form weren't good enough. I will say, players' outpouring of emotion or thanks. I've never seen anything like it from any club when a player leaves. There was an outpouring of it, but I'm not deeming that was culture because we won a trophy. He's going to set culture. He's going to set culture as a football club, and this is how we go, and this is how we move forward. Savva, I will say thanks. One thing I will say, for people that haven't seen all the videos and want to get check them out, if you go onto Tottenham on Tour's community section, or post as it's called now, I did a post with about 6 or 7 of them, all the links, all there. So if you do want to see them, if you haven't seen them, just go over to Tottenham on Tour onto the community section, and they will all be there. Savva, thank you for having me on, brother. Everyone in the chat, have a great evening. I would normally say, and as always, leave you out, which I will say, but most importantly, Thomas Frank is in, and Thomas Frank, Thomas Frank. Later.
Take care, mate. See you later. For those wondering, England are losing. England are losing 2-1. It's a very disjointed performance after what was a very poor performance the other night as well. Not that I'm the biggest international fan, but Thomas Frank coming into Spurs, maybe Thomas Frank was needed by England. So, guys and girls, I'm not going to go crazy tonight. I'm not going to go on forever and ever and ever and ever. It's been a long day, and I'll be back tomorrow morning. But I will go live for the next 20 minutes or so. Tom, what a weird thing to say. Beard is coming in there, Savva. Keep eating your greens. What a weird thing to say, but thank you for the advice on me eating greens. Thank you very much. What I would say is I will put the link in the chat. If anyone wants to come on, I won't do it by ones. I'll bring everyone on. If anyone does want to come on, then they're more than welcome. They can have their say. We're just chatting general about football, and I'll go for another half an hour or so. I'll put the link in the chat. But again, you must be somewhere quiet. 1 second. You must be wearing clothes. I know it sounds silly, and any trolls will just be booted for good. So there is the link. The link is there. It's this one here. If anyone does want to come on and chat about football and stuff, you're more than welcome to do so, whether a viewer or a YouTuber or whatever it may be. I'm not going to go forever tonight, though, because I'm hoping that tomorrow is the day we get the news. By the way, tomorrow, the morning show as normal. And then in the evening, Stel can't make Savva and Stel ask us anything tomorrow. So Lubo is going to step in for this week to replace him for this week. So Lubo will be stepping in. Yeah, mate, listen, anyone can hop on, Angus. Anyone can hop on, but I'm not going to go crazy tonight. I'm not going to do hours and hours and hours of streaming, but you're more than welcome. The next call-in show, Thursday. will be the next call-in show. Thursday, I've got a members-only show as well. So members-only show and Thursday. Anyone can join, but you've got to have something to say. Lots of the time, people join, and then I'm the one that has to constantly ask questions. So if you're going to join, have something to say. Angus, how are you, my man?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Oh, look at that shirt. Look at that shirt. Wow. What did you want to talk about, mate? What's going on? What's going on?
Well, all I can say is Northern North London derbies won't be as easy. It's going to be a lot harder to play against you as well.
So, as a rival fan, when you were playing us against Ange, is it something you were happy about? Like, did you think like, oh well, we know we're going to beat them because they're wide open?
I just knew it was going to be easy. I knew it was going to be easy. I just knew. And I told you what was going to happen, Savva, but you fans didn't listen to me. And when they were saying that Solanke's better than my players, nah. And that...
Sorry, better than your players?
You know what I meant.
I know what you mean. I just find it funny.
When we had Rice and Odegaard out, we had no midfield. And we still beat without them.
Okay, so you think it's going to be tougher with Frank in charge because he's going to set up properly than with Ange? Basically, what you're saying, yeah.
Basically, yeah.
Okay.
A lot harder.
You said earlier as well. You said earlier in the chat. I wonder where you got this information from. Listen, sorry, something got in my eye. So I'm not crying. I promise. 1 second. Sorry, 1 second. Listen, I'll still keep talking, but something's in my eye. It really hurts. You said in the chat that Sesko agreed terms. Where did you see such a thing?
I'll send you it if I can, or I can get my number off Corey and I'll send you it.
Okay, yeah. Has Corey got your number? All right, cool. We'll do that.
Yeah, I've got his number.
Let me hang on. England are in. Let me welcome Sinner PS. I can't call you Sinner PS. What's your name, bro? What's your name?
It's Pete.
Pete. Hey,
yeah.
How are you, sir? I've always seen you in the chat. How you doing? You all right?
Yeah, not too bad, mate. We've me and you have got a bit of a chat with regards to like the whole Eze situation coming the last couple of days. I'm interested on. Yeah, just we've kind of talked back and forth and chat, haven't we? And you said the other day, get on chat when you guys never come on. Well, I'm on. Want to have an open chat about it?
Listen, look, Pete, you've watched me enough to know. Hang on, let me do the polite thing. Sorry, and put myself behind all the writing. When have you ever seen me shirk a conversation about football? There's nothing you can say that's going to bother me. Go on, go for it. What?
Never. I'm interested in an educated conversation about it because of the way that the game frames in my head. Views is different to yours, and I'm interested to see where we sit.
Okay, go for it. It's up to you. Whatever you want to talk about.
Cool. Right. So the way that I understand Frank's attacks is to attack space, which means that you need to pitch as wide as possible. If we've already got Johnson coming in and then Porro down the right side, and then you've got Maddison picking up on the left side inside channel, that means there's no space in that area for Eze without him standing on Maddison's toes, because you've already got Solanke taking up the right inside channel. So you've got Porro, Johnson, Solanke, Maddison. You can't then throw Eze into the same space. So what we really need is a proper left winger. Not a Son that's going to cut in, but an actual left winger that will hold that width. To then be able to open that up fully and attack properly. So for me, Eze, as much as I love him, he's a baller, he's a great technician of football, very, very, very good player, doesn't fit quite within that space. I think him and Maddison will end up getting in each other's way a lot in the same way as that him and Son have. Because the reasons, in my opinion, Son's not been as effective is Maddison and Son are in the same space.
Wouldn't you say though? Listen, I don't disagree with that in theory, but wouldn't you say that top coaches will want as many good players out on the pitch as possible, and that if you offered someone like Thomas Frank that you could have Eze and Maddison out on the pitch at the same time, that he's clever enough to make that work, that he's a good enough coach to blend them both into his formation, his tactics?
I think he is. I don't think Maddison is. from what I've seen because he's not really allowed it. And as much as Eze's a free ball, I don't think we need that free ball unless you're then not playing a striker in Solanke and then you're playing someone else that's almost like a false nine. I think it just doesn't work for me. I need a proper winger. Ideally, the player that I immediately thought of that I'd want on that left side, no longer, I haven't followed him for a couple of years, I don't know where he's at, but Filip Kostic at Juve.
Okay, all right, yeah. We were linked with him at one point, weren't we?
Yeah.
Listen, I don't doubt. I just think that when you've got quality, intelligent footballers like Eze, like Maddison, I think they find a way to make it work. I can't imagine that if Eze is offered to Frank, that he'd say, "Oh, I don't want it because I can't make it work." I think that, again, a manager like Frank wouldn't have had these luxuries. I'm not saying he's got it at Spurs yet. I mean, we're all dependent on Daniel Levy getting out that checkbook and making Eze possible, right? But I would say that he's not had those luxuries, right? Which has probably meant that he's had to be probably a little bit more pragmatic in his approach. Isn't there a way in which we could do almost what Palace do, where they've got Mateta as the striker and then Sarr and Eze, who aren't really wingers, kind of pull into those inside pockets and they float about and they just cause havoc? Couldn't we have that with Maddison and Eze behind a striker? Is there a world in which that exists?
What are you doing with Johnson that scored 17 goals last year?
But listen, I'm happy. I'm happy for Brennan Johnson to be an impact player. Isn't this the point of? Isn't this the point of getting better and getting in the Champions League, that people like Brennan Johnson suddenly don't become fixed starters and they rotate? Isn't that what this is for, right?
I think he's earned his stripes. As much as I agreed with you at the start of the year, and to watch, he's not pretty. Don't think he's an attractive footballer to watch at all, but he's kind of like Raheem Sterling. In the end, he taps it in. And that's what he's good at. And you need a player like that. And the way that Frank plays, that's going to work, and he'll score more, not less. Because he'll turn them up in them positions and he will score them goals.
But yeah, listen, I don't disagree with you to that point. We know what Brennan Johnson's good at. But surely then we're not kicking on. If we're going to say, well, we wouldn't want this player because Brennan Johnson won't start, I'm happy with Brennan Johnson never starting games of football if we're brutal. I don't know. Listen,
I know.
I'm happy. Listen, because again, I've said it's brilliant in the games where he is getting into the box and scoring goals. Great. For the rest of the 90 odd minutes, I don't notice the man on the pitch. And I think when you're going into better opposition, if you want to get higher up the table, can you carry that? Can you carry that for 90 minutes? I'm just not sure you can, Pete.
While I would have agreed, and the most other managers that we've had previously, I think he's earned a chance under Frank. Last season, I think he did that level of that very well under hands that you kind of got to go, as much as I don't particularly think you're pretty to look at, you did the job. And I don't want to throw you out of the team for that.
We'll have to disagree. I'm more than happy for Brendan Johnson
on that one either.
Start.
There's just not enough there for Brendan Johnson's game, is there? He's great at tapping it in, but he can't take a guy on. He doesn't track back. He loses the ball. I can't see it with Johnson. Coming on last 10, 15 minutes when a defence is tired of tapping a goal, sure, do that. But I need my winger to give me more. I need him for the width. I need him to beat a man. I need him to hold the ball up. I need him to track back. I need him to do the things that a proper winger does, not what is Johnson doing. For 90, most of the game, the guy's non-existent. He's standing around, isn't he, until he gets that one little clear-cut chance to run in a box. I want my players to play football. I don't want them standing around being passengers.
I tell you what, that's a good point, Pete, isn't it? That Corey makes about the tracking back thing. I think he's got away with murder playing for Ange because he gets the tap-ins. If he's playing for a manager that is a lot more high pressing, high octane, a manager that is more that is defensively solid, a manager that's got his shape, is Brendan Johnson going to get away with just the odd tap in, or is he going to have to track back, help out, bulk out? You know, there's different managers, different things, right?
Yeah, I would expect him to track back more. And he's going to need to if we're going to continue to play with Poirier at right wing back. Obviously, if we were playing it,
you could play Porro at right wing back and play Spence at right back. I keep saying that Porro is not a defender; he's more of a winger than what fucking Brendan Johnson is. My language, sorry, but literally, Porro is more of an attacking player than a defending player. I'd rather have Porro running at a defender causing havoc than Johnson. And then you could have Spence sitting behind Porro defending. That would work perfectly down the right wing. I just can't take Brendan Johnson. All right, he's tapped in 17 goals. He's helped us win a trophy. Okay, great, thank you. He's not a great player.
Yeah,
we overpaid for him.
It's an interesting one, but I mean, Pete, look, can I ask you just before we bring others in, Stanley, make your mind up. He wants to get up, then he wants to get down. It's a nightmare. Let me ask you one last question on it, Pete. As a club, don't we want to see, like, if I said to you, game 1 of next season, your front three is going to be, I'll concede that Solanke's going to be, and we won't buy a better striker. I'll just concede that. Don't you want your front three to be Maddison, or your front four even, to be Semenyo, Maddison, Eze, Solanke, rather than Brennan Johnson, Solanke,
and Son,
and Maddison, right? Surely don't we want to get those players that we go, God, I'm excited to watch this, rather than will he get a tap in today? Don't we want that as a fan base?
Right. So now we've got 3 players that all predominantly want to start towards that left channel. So Menyu's played there, and I've watched him do it at Bristol City for 2 years before he rocked up at Bournemouth. He plays on that inside left channel. You've got Eze, who predominantly picks up the ball on the left side in channel. And you've got Maddison that picks up the ball on the inside left channel. They're all occupying the same space.
Only under Ange does Maddison do that. You think all his career, James Maddison's played as an out-and-out number 10. It's only Ange that has pushed him there. So wouldn't Frank have Maddison more in the Damsgaard type of role, where everything goes through that player, i.e. a proper number 10, rather than all this pulling out to the left and right nonsense? Wouldn't we see that under Frank?
So you reckon Maddison's going to be more free, as in literally move about the pitch?
I bloody hope so. He's a number 10. I hate seeing James Maddison on the halfway line, because when I watched him at Leicester, I watched him have Tielemans and Ndidi behind him. Obviously, Ndidi doing the number 6, Tielemans the box-to-box 8. And they get the ball to Maddison, and he had 2 wingers going either way, and he had Vardy running through the middle. When he picks the ball up now under an Ange system, he's got 2 wingers that want to invert into him, 2 fullbacks that want to invert into him. Solanke wants to play in the same position as Maddison, so he's got no runner there. I think I'm going to make a statement. If Maddison stays, I'm not saying he's going anywhere. If he stays, I think Frank unlocks him. I think you see 15, 16, 17 assists next season from James Maddison. I think he unlocks him. That's just my opinion.
I hope you're right. I just have concerns about too much in where their preferences are to pick up in that position. And that's the only reason why I'm like, with Eze, I don't see it. Whereas I think a proper winger would work. I love Eze as a baller. He's great to watch. But I'm just concerned that it could end up clogging up in the same way as you've just described.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think under a Frank system it would be clogged up. Players would have a bit more freedom to actually play a position that they're strong in, instead of all running into each other like headless chickens trying to hope something sticks. For 2 seasons, I have seen 6 players all in one space instead of attacking the flank properly, taking on a man properly. Maddison, like Savva said, is literally your player that floats between the back part of the midfield and the strikers. He's the guy that floats and picks the passes out. He is your maverick. He is your guy that finds you the assists, a cheeky goal every now and then. Haven't seen that under this Ange system because we've got 6 players running into his space. That Madders needs about 10 to 15 yards around him to be able to play the game properly, not 5 players getting in his space. It just doesn't work. So under a Frank system, if we're going to be playing 3 at the back with 2 wing backs, 2 midfielders, 2 holding midfielders, or Basuma and Bentancur on that double pivot, I could see that working really well under a Frank system.
What about this?
Madders playing off, going everywhere, you know.
See, that's how I would see it. By the way, I think when we talk about formations are fluid. This for me, just in terms of starting positions. But I think then what you can actually say is, Semenyo, we want you to hug the touchline more. Eze, we want you to be a bit more roaming and allow Udogie down the left-hand side to overlap and actually be the width for the left-hand side. That, for me, I look at that front four. But listen, everyone knows my opinions of Solanke, right? But I look at that front four and I go, I've got a direct runner as a winger in Semenyo. I've got the pace, the maverick kind of ability. Is someone got their TV on, by the way, who's on stream? If someone got their TV on, I can hear it. You'll get me demonetized. Cheers. You've got the guile and the maverick nature of Eze. You've got the playmaker ability of James Maddison, who wants the ball and dictates. And then Solanke can actually, dare I say it, be up front. That with I hate to say, but that with the double pivot of whoever that may be, isn't that looking a lot more scary, guys? I say scary, you know what I mean? Isn't that looking a lot more threatening to the opposition than what we've seen this season?
For me, it is. Go on, sorry.
Go on, Paul. Go on, mate.
Yes, so for me, it's like you're saying Eze wouldn't fit into our team, but look back at that final we just had in the Europa League. Maddison, Kulu out. Where was the creative spark? You know, if we're going to be competing in the Champions League, Premier League, want to compete on all four fronts, we need 3 players in that position to cover injuries and to rotate every week. So for me, Eze fits right into our team. I don't see how he doesn't, to be honest. And I love Savva's line up at the front there. That would be a really good, exciting front line to see. You know, we might actually score some goals from outside the box.
You'd stunt Porro immediately by putting Semenyo on that and holding him. That's why Johnson works on that right side, because it allows Porro the overlap, which then produces the cross. So that's why that other winger needs to be a winger.
But if you've got Porro and Brennan Johnson on that right-hand side, we've got no defensive ability down that right-hand side. And we've seen that for 2 years under Ange. Every single team that plays us, Pete, attacks us down our right-back area because Johnson can't track back and Porro can't defend. So
agreed, and that's why you get a world-class 6.
Sorry, go on.
That's what the world-class 6 is for. You put that 6 in there, and your right centre-back moves across. Your 6 fills in, and you've got your left centre-back that you play 3 at the back.
Sure, but hang on. I'm gonna rip that theory apart. Sorry, I've got to. That's great in theory that every single time we're left exposed down our right-hand side that we're asking our number 6 to gallop over and solve all the problems. But in reality, you can't be wide open down one side of the pitch for 90 minutes of the game hoping that your number 6 covers for you.
No, you misunderstood me, mate. The number 6 is when we've got the ball, the number 6 sits between the 2 centre-halves. The right centre-half steps out towards the right-hand side of the 18-yard box, in theory, in a map, and then your left centre-half steps to the left, and then the number 6 that sits in the middle. So your number 6 is now a proper destroyer, and that allows you to play that free, and that right centre-back is the responsibility of covering that right back position, and then you can flood back in. So it buys you that time. It's worked for years.
I hear you, but for me, I think you're set. We'd be setting up immediately, not having learned our lesson from this year. That's the worry for me, is that we are so weak. I've never seen such a weak right-hand side as Porro and Brennan Johnson, right? For as good as we can say Johnson taps in and Porro's good going forward, defensively, every team rips us apart down that right-hand side. And I think what they do is people would overload that side again. For me, I think we might get some questions asked about Porro, whether or not he starts as the right back. Maybe Jed Spence is preferred as the defensive-minded right back. I don't know. Listen, these are all theories, right, from all of us, because we don't know what Thomas Frank's going to do in training or whatever. But I just think that's a really weak, defensively minded setup on the right-hand side for me, just for me. Yeah, and England have equalised, for anyone wondering. Jude Bellingham.
Who cares?
Well, listen, people do care, Corey. So people do care in the chat. So look, it's an interesting one. Anybody else? I mean, Eze, for me, I just want as many good players as possible. I never want to say no to good players. That's where I'm at with it. Anybody else?
Do you think we spend the money on Eze though? Do do you honestly think we spend the money? Be realistic. Do you really think that's going to happen?
Look, we've spent big money before. We look at Ndombele, we look at Solanke. We spent big money. Richarlison, we spent big money. At some point, we're starting to see that things are different, right? We're starting to see things are different at Tottenham. You know, we've moved quick in this summer. We've moved quick in terms of people going out. Like two managers have gone out. Directors going out. Whatever Scott Munn was, don't have a clue what he did at the club, going out, right? All of these things, we've got people coming in. Hopefully that allows us to then act differently in the market. If it doesn't, then Daniel Levy has lied when he said, you know, this Europa League win is going to help us get to the top of football. So, and anyone else on the chat think that we can get an Eze? Will Levy sanction an Eze?
He best to. This is the time to kick on. We've had two appalling seasons under Ange. Sorry, 44 win % rate in 2 years. 1.18 41. Oh, 41% now, is it? I thought it was 44. All right, 41. So that's less than other managers we've had before in the past. Okay, wow, won us a trophy. Thank you. I'm looking forward to the fact that this is a complete clear out. Staff, coaches, board members, it's freshening up. And if we can get this part of it, Levy steps away from the footballing decisions and lets footballing brains take control of this team. We might actually see an Eze come in because we might actually start paying better money to players. I know it's the cliche we've been saying it, just put the money on the table and they should come. No, we're not. It just doesn't work like that. It's not Football Manager. It's not FIFA. You don't just go, it goes 200 grand a week. Players have got ambitions in life. They want to be winning. They want to compete at the highest level. We still don't know what's going on with the whole Palace thing in Europe because of their owners owning another team that are in the European competition. So we don't know if Palace is still in or out. So you may understand that some of these players at Palace may want to stay at their club to try and do well in that competition that we have just won, you know. So again, I just want good quality players coming in, replacing some of the absolute dross that we've got. When we first signed Brendan Johnson, I was like, oh, please no, there are better players. Solanke, one good season, Solanke. Thank you. Couldn't cut it at Chelsea. Couldn't cut it at Liverpool. And I'm sitting at 60 million, lots of 60 million on bang average players. Is this all we ever do at Tottenham, is buying the bang average and overpay? It's time we start getting ruthless with some of these players. You either start performing or you're out the door. Other clubs do it. Why can't we? The links of Sonny potentially leaving. I love the guy to bits, but the guy is starting to show signs of not being able to cut it anymore. There are other players in this team that I haven't, you barely see from month to month, and you're like, are they even still here? I mean, before I come on, they were talking about the young kiddie that was out on loan to Leeds. Solomon, not that he's a great player, great championship level player, but Premier League player, no. We've had a clear out of other players as well, so like Forster going, other players like that going, and then we go and give a contract to Ben Davis. Great, thank you. Okay, fantastic idea. Give a guy that is bang average another year extension. Another 15 grand a week on his wages for what?
Aren't we at the stage though where we're literally backing everything here, Corey? Like, listen, I don't want Ben Davis at the club any longer, but do you not think it could be to make the theory could be that we make some money off of Ben Davis because he's got time on his contract as opposed to a free transfer? Could it not be that they just don't want to leave the club absolutely bereft of any experience? You think in the last few years we've let go of Perisic, Højbjerg, Dyer, Kane. If Sonny goes, it's a lot of Lloris. It's a lot of experience going out the door. I'll just throw it out there to everybody. What do we think?
Okay, yeah, the experience goes, but at the same time, we've got to move forward. Other clubs do this every year. Players, if they've been there 3-4 seasons and they're starting to stagnate, they try to sell them. We, as a club, have kept hold of players for too long. and missed out on a chance to actually get rid of. Otherwise, they just leave on a free contract, or you never really see them. They go out on loan for 3 seasons. Ndombele, 69 million in the end we paid for him, 200 grand a week.
65.
65, yeah.
65,
Sat on the bench, or didn't even get on the bench half the time because he just.
See,
Great.
Too much.
I think Ben Davies has been given a contract to kind of safeguard us a little bit, because I think when we'll look at Vuskovic in pre-season under a new manager, and then the decision will be made whether Ben Davies stays and we use him as the experienced backup, or whether Vuskovic is of a standard that we can actually get Ben Davies out and trust Vuskovic as the number 4 or 5 defender.
Yeah, but then you've also got Phillips, Dorrington. You've got
Dorrington will go back out on loan. Phillips isn't there yet.
How can you say Phillips isn't there yet? He's got to be
Because
given a chance. You don't pay for a player like Phillips, a young player, and not give him that opportunity to play. He is a solid defender, a very good young defender. He just needs that manager to come in and believe in him. Vuskovic, fantastic young player. Dorrington, I want to see more of Dorrington. I've seen a lot of him in the under 21s. My God, what a defender he is.
Yeah, but Corey, can I just say, listen, I don't necessarily disagree with you. By the way, Florian Wirtz to Liverpool. Here we go. That's the level that Liverpool are operating at. I reckon, 50 million. Liverpool verbally agreed deal in principle with Bayer Leverkusen for a package reaching 150 million euros, add-ons included.
Jesus.
I don't think that Liverpool
Florian
fans
Wirtz and McAllister in that midfield.
As I was saying, I don't think that Liverpool fans can say anymore that their owners aren't thinking about the future. That's a huge transfer. Listen, Corey, I think we've got to be careful what we ask for here. As football fans, everyone's desperate to get into Champions Leagues, right? We get in the Champions League. Everyone wants to get in Europe. Then when we get in Europe, right, we're talking about, we want Dorrington to play. Where are Dorrington and Phillips realistically, and Vuskovic realistically this year? Where do we feel they're getting game time? Now you've got Mickey van der Ven, Christian Romero, Danso, Dragusin, right, as your 4. Now, granted, one of them might go. You then got Ben Davies as your 5th. By the way, Senegal are 3-1 up against England in the 93rd minute. Wow.
Wow.
You've got
Go on, Senegal.
Vuskovic, Phillips, Dorrington, all behind that. The players that don't play in the Premier League or the Champions League are naturally going to get their game time in the FA Cup and the League Cup. I don't think this is going to be one of those years where we're going to say, right, this is the year to blood an 18-year-old centre-half. I think, guys, and I'll chuck this out there, I think we've missed that. The last 2 years, I think we've missed that window. These last 2 years were the years for me where you went, right, we've got injury problems. Right, keep Ashley Phillips. Let him play at the back when players are injured. And we haven't. Now we've got a lot of players there. I genuinely, maybe I'm waffling. Anybody on the chat? Am I waffling? Paul, am I waffling? Where do these young centre-halves get a game?
That was my point about Ange. It's why I lost confidence in him a lot, because, I think he'd have got a lot more respect by finishing 17th if he'd have played the likes of Phillips, Dorrington, Mikey Moores, Donnelly up top. If he'd have given these youngsters a go out, we're injured. The other players weren't playing very well, playing 2 games a week. What's he got to lose? But instead, he was playing Werner, Davis, players that don't have a long future at the club. So for me, that's where he lost me, in the sense of you finished 17th playing experienced players, but you could have played our youngsters and still finished 17th, and they'd have got valuable game time in the Premier League. But instead, he chose to play the likes of Werner, Tell, who's not even one of our youngsters. He should have been blooding our own youngsters through. And I think this is where that's where he lost me, in the sense,
You think he's allowed both Dorrington and Phillips to go out on loan, and then ends up having to play Archie Gray at centre-back. Imagine all those minutes that Archie Gray played at centre-back Imagine an actual centre back played there, like Phillips. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? By the way, I'm not going to sit here and go, Ashley Phillips, the greatest young centre half I've ever seen. But the guy's been brought in as a centre half. He's shipped out, and we're putting a centre mid at the back. I just feel like it's all been very backwards the last 2 years. Very backwards.
Same for me, really. And that's, I want to see our youngsters out there. I've seen in the under-21s. I want to see them come through now. I don't want to see them keep going out on loan after loan, because then it gets to the point where you just sell them anyway and you never see them in a Spurs shirt. And then 5 years later, we're like, oh my God, look how good they are. Let's buy them. And then we're ending up spending 60 million on them to bring them back.
Yeah. Absolutely. I mean, let me ask, Marios, do you think there's an issue with Spurs at the moment that, we do seem to have again, Lubo and Johnny, who go to a lot of the youth games, they tell me a lot that this is the best crop they've seen of these youngsters. That's just centre halves, right? That's just defenders when we look at Dorrington, Vuskovic and Phillips. Now you've got to imagine we've got Gray and Bergvall, who are young centre mids that need game time in midfield. Or Jamie Donnelly's coming back, who is being raved about. Josh Keeley as a goalkeeper. Luca Gunter as a goalkeeper. Adogi's still a kid. How do they possibly get game time in a Champions League season, Marios?
I don't know. Maybe they will play in the cups.
Well, I mean, but let me ask you the question then. If we say they're playing in the cups, Thomas Frank's on a lose-lose there, isn't he? Because people will go, oh, this is our chance of winning a trophy, the FA Cup and League Cup. But that's also the competitions where you can give the youngsters a go. So this is going to be a very interesting season, right?
But I don't think they will play a lot this season.
Yeah, I mean, guys, everyone, if we're saying they're not going to play this season, how do we do it? How do Pete, Angus, I know you're Arsenal, but how do clubs get their young players game time when you're competing at that level?
You've got to play them in the cups. Go on, Angus, you go, man.
I'd say just give them 15, 20 minutes at the end. Let them go on, let them express themselves, and let's see how good they are. Like we've done with Miles Lewis-Skelly and Ethan. Let them have the game time, but give them 15, 20 minutes here and there, and then develop them. Let them come on for longer. Let them start games. Let them develop. Let's see how good they are in Champions League. And let's see
is it easy to do that, Angus? Is it easy to do that when we're talking about the last 10, 15 minutes? I feel like it's easy to do that when you've got maybe an attacking midfielder or a winger or a striker. But how often in a game where you maybe that you're one goal up, do you go, right, let's take off, we'll take off Romero and we're going to chuck on Ashley Phillips? Like it's a tough one, right?
Yeah, it's a tough one. It's far. He's the one to make the decisions at the end of the day.
That's the only option you have. That's the only option you have. Sometimes the players have got to come off and be rested. If they're having a crap game, they've got to be substituted off for these young players to come in and really show us what they can do. Otherwise,
my theory is to keep hold of a couple of the edge players. So a couple of those youngsters that are quite close, and all the way up till January, because that's when the bulk of the Champions League games will be played before start of the season to January, which means that's when your fixture congestion is. It's also when the League Cup is. So you can use them in the League Cup games. You might be able to stick them in the odd game at the bottom end of the Premier League, depending on who that's against. And then come January, you'll know where they are. You'll know where they are in relation, and you either ship them out on loan to a top level Championship club, which most would take, or they've gone, you know what, we've actually shown you mettle. We might be able to use you towards the back end in the FA Cup, which in my opinion is a little bit more important. The higher end, like the back end of the League Cup, and then a couple of more of the league games. But between now and January, that's where that gap is to play those youngsters before you ship them.
Yeah, it's a tough one though, isn't it, Pete? Because again, imagine, first month of the season and Tottenham have got a League Cup game, right? Imagine, and you're going to have half the fan base and Frank's thinking, right, hang on, is this where some of the fringe players get a game? And then you're going to have half the fan base going, well, hang on, mate, you've got you've got to win a trophy because Ange won a trophy. So if you don't win this trophy, oh, you've thrown the trophy. It's a real balancing act, isn't it? It's a tough one.
It's a PR game.
Of course.
I mean, the comment that come up a second ago about the nearly men, I would take Arsenal's position right now for one, the prize money.
Philly just won on match, and you winding me up. That's all it is. I know what you're doing.
Well, I would rather take finishing in that top 4 bracket and having that prize money come from the Premier League, so we don't have our owner going, "Oh, we haven't got the money to spend because we finished poorly in the league." Well, yeah, because you let a manager that should have been sacked a year and a half ago continue on. Arteta consistently won an FA Cup, all right, 5 years ago, but still won a cup before us. So I'm not going to sit here and slate Arsenal. I'm a football fan first. I'm a massive Spurs fan, but a football fan first. If you can't take your Spurs cap off and look around the league, yeah, no, but if you can't look around the rest of the league and what everybody else has won compared to us in the last 5 to 10 years, I mean, it's a joke. City have won consistently. Chelsea have picked up cups here and there. United, Liverpool. And where's us? 17 years and we bring in the B-list European Cup. All right, it's a major cup, but it gets us into Europe. Now, push on. Push these players out of that hell.
So what are you saying, though? So I'm struggling to get the point. What are you saying, then, that don't worry about the cups and purely worry about the league position? Is that your stance here?
Focus on the league. Look at Champions League, because the FA Cup and League Cup isn't really till January for the FA Cup. The League Cup sporadically throughout the year until it actually starts kicking in for the Premier League teams to come in. And it's along the terms of the young players need to be bedded in either in the League Cup in the earlier stages or the earlier stages of the FA Cup to give the first team a rest. These guys have to be rested if you're going to be playing on 4 fronts. You can't just throw in the so-called 5 that we have in Ben Davies, Danso, Romero, Van der Ven, and I always forget his name. Oh, well, you can't always just rely on those 5. You need these other kids to be stood around to learn from the so-called elder contingent in our defence. Otherwise, if you keep spinning them out on loan, what are they going to learn at another club up the league?
But isn't the argument if you don't put them out on loan, again, devil's advocate, if you don't put them out on loan, you've just named 5 centre-halves. They're not learning from anyone, are they? Because they're never getting game time. And this is the problem. If we play a back 4, hypothetical, guys, we play a back 4, let's say his favourite back 2, just for ease, is Van der Ven and Romero. Okay, cool. You now know the pecking order, right? Romero and Van der Ven, whoever gets injured, the next one comes in. That next one is going to be Kevin Danso. The one after that is going to be Radu Dragusin. And the one after that who's going to be an auxiliary player who can go left back, left centre half of 3, blah, 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 is Ben Davies.
Can he be the water boy instead?
But hang on. I'm trying to make a serious point here. When you've then saying, okay, keep Dorrington, keep Phillips, keep Vuskovic being around them, where do they get game time? Like we're saying, bring them on for 15 minutes at the end of a game. Angus, you said, right? Let's be fair. Danso and Dragusin are going to be your 2 centre-halves out of your 9 subs on the bench. You're not going to have Danso, Dragusin, Vuskovic. You're not going to have all of them. So this is, for me, where I think some tough decisions are going to have to be made about those 3 young players. And I think Vuskovic will be the one sent out on loan again. I think the other 2 might end up eventually leaving. Sorry, I just don't see it.
It's make a break time.
And then if we're going to back
and have some balls.
Say that again, Angus. I didn't hear any of that. Sorry, mate.
Act like a big club. Keep one and then get rid of the other 2.
Yeah, no, I agree. I don't think there's room for all of them. I mean, Pete, let me bring you in here. I mean, this is fluid, guys. It changes.
Yeah.
You know, does Romero leave? Dragusin, we know, isn't fit until I think November, December. So that probably rules him out of the Champions League squad for the first phase. So this is fluid, but it's like we've gone and bought Vuskovic, bought Phillips. You know, you've got Dorrington coming through. It's like there's no real planning and thought that's gone into what we're doing there.
As far as I'm concerned, Dorrington's not going to get good enough from what I've seen. He got ripped apart when he was at Aberdeen on fair few occasions. And that's the SPL. We've all just slated Ange about winning a league that's tin pot and doesn't really have any teams in it. So if he's getting destroyed up there, he's got 1 year to prove it in the Championship. If not, you're off, mate. Ashley Phillips has done well in the Championship. Probably needs a lower the Premier League, higher Championship loan. And Vuskovic, I've not seen anything of him at all. All I know is he scored, 7-8 goals in the league, carrying a bit of reputation. We need to look at him in pre-season. If it comes to the end of pre-season he looks a nuts, keep him in. If he doesn't, send him out on loan. We've got Ben Davis. That's why Ben Davis was given that contract.
I'll ask you, Pete, before I move on to everyone. Do you think Romero's going to be here next season?
No, but I don't want him here either. I wanted him sold last summer.
Me too.
Yeah.
I'd have sold him last year and I'd have gone and got Ezri Konsa.
I agree with you on that one because, quite frankly, the guy is either always injured or only shows up when Argentina come calling. Plays an odd game here and there, and I'm fed up with a guy collecting a wage and being a bit part player. I'm fed up with the bit part players in our squad. It's time to be ruthless and act like a big club. Right, okay, Romero, you don't want to be here. Sign that, give us your check. Whoever wants to buy him, put it in the bank, put it towards someone else. Again, I love Sonny, but like I said earlier, he's gone down the toilet. If the Saudis want to come in for him, 30, 40 million, thanks, Sonny. I'll give you our blessing. You have been such a great player for this club, but you're now starting, your legs are going, your pace is gone, you're not taking on players, you're not the player you was 3-4 seasons ago. And then I'd start looking across the team. I'd be like, right, who's got to go in midfield to make a space? Who's got to go in defence? We haven't got 7 goalkeepers on the books anymore. We've got 6 because Forster's left. No, Forster and Whiteman have left. So we've got 5 goalkeepers. We still need to get rid of a couple to be able to play 3 goalkeepers maximum in your first team. I would give Keeley the nod to come on as your number 3. I'd send little Gunter out on loan again because he was incredible. And then I would balance the goalkeepers out in different cups, see what goes on. With the defence, if we're going to go to a 3 at the back, you are going to need those players to come in and play that 3 at the back system. So the more cover you have at the centre back, because if you, like you said, we haven't got Dragusin until, forget about December. He's got to get fit after the injuries. Then got to find Matt Sharpness. So you're looking January. He's out for a year. An ACL is a horrible injury, and I know full well what that does to a person because it happened to me.
But it's a balancing
Before you move on,
Corey. Sorry, go on.
Before you move on too far, Corey, all I was going to say was, if you're looking at the goalies, mate, the one position that goalies need game time. The one position people need game time is goalkeeper.
Yeah.
So we need Keeley off. He needs to go out on loan. You can't be at the club. We've got Austin, we've got Kinski, and we've got Vicario. We don't need anything more than that. Keeley needs to be off. So does Gunter. Both of them out on loan. Don't want to go anywhere near the club. Go and get 25, 30 games in the league.
If I was Austin, I'd be like, right, I need more game time here. I did well before you went out and bought the young kiddie in. Kinski. I can never remember that kid's name because I've seen him in 3 games. One of them he was good. The other 2 were pretty shocking. So if I was Austin, I'd be like, look, I came in, I did you a job. I got man of the match in a game where we lost because of Ange's tactics. Why the hell? Come on, I should be number 2. I've been at this club. I've been a servant since I was a kid. Please give me an opportunity. That's a guy that does deserve to be the number 2. That's my opinion.
I think you're thinking with your heart, mate, a couple of times there. There's been a couple of times you've spoken, you've been very passionate about certain players, but they're coming from the heart. I don't care what you want. So you either stay in or you go in. Because I don't care if Austin stays. It makes no difference. It makes no difference to us whatsoever. We could literally go and get Fraser Forster back in. Because realistically, he's not going to play.
Yeah, I know, but then we need to meet the homegrown quota, and where we got most of that homegrown quota at the moment, really, it's in the defence and in goal. Because you look across the rest of the team, there isn't, because all the different FAs don't come into the English FA. So Brendan Johnson and Ben Davis don't fall under the English FA for the European sort of like cup team. They're classed as foreign players because of being born in Wales, even though UK as a whole, blah blah blah.
We're comfortably within that, by the way. We're 3 players in, so we can still go and still be comfortable. We've got more of a problem if it comes to growing at club, which would be your argument with Austin. But that's why you give him a bit of a bumper wage and he stays.
Yeah, but then most of our other players under the age of 21 are like your Mikey Moores, your Phillipses and stuff like that. They will have to stay around to meet the homegrown or grown in UK quota before they're sent out on loan. We need to be able to bring in some English players, not, because we haven't got that many in club anymore.
No, that's what I'm saying. You're wrong. We're comfortable. We're about 2 or 3 players in. I've got literally, if you could see what's on my lap, I've done the whole workings out with the squads. We are comfortable within that quota.
The only thing we're not comfortable with is foreign people in the Champions League. That's it.
Even that, we're comfortable within that.
No, we're level. We have to sell to buy. So if we want a foreign player, we've got to sell a foreign player.
How many do you think you make it?
Well, I think if Dragoshin drops out because of his injury, I think we can then take on one more, and then it's a sell to buy. That's what I think it is.
Because I make us 2, maybe 3 inside it, James.
I might be wrong, but what I was looking up, we're 1 inside. If Dragoshin's injured, and maybe you're 2 inside because Kulu might be injured, so maybe it's taking that into account. Maybe I'm not sure, but I thought it was we're bang on level, but Kulu and Dragoshin we're not sure if they're both injured. Then we've got 2 spaces to open up for 2 new players.
I've taken Kulu out, so you might be right that I've taken Dragoshin and not thought about it.
Kulu, Dragoshin are going to be out until, especially Kulu, he's out until probably the back end of January with his injury. Dragoshin, like I said, an ACL isn't the quickest thing to come back from, so you're looking at the back end of January/February for him as well. So those 2 players you can actually rule out for the first 6 to 8 months of the season.
Obviously, evening, everyone.
Evening. Good evening.
I kind of come on to call out Corey because he was just waffling and flip-flopping, to be honest.
Hang on. I bloody love it when someone wants to call someone else out. Let's do this. Let's do it.
2 years I've been handing out, buddy.
So he started off by saying that we need to act like a big club, and if Romero wants to go, and we need to do this and big this and that and this. And then in the second thing, he's talking about starting Brendan Austin, and then he's still talking about starting Ashley Phillips. You tell me if Man City starting Ashley Phillips at centre back. You want to be a big club, or you don't want to be a big club? You want to have sympathy, or you don't want to have sympathy? What do you want?
Act like the club. Sell the players off that don't want to be here. Sell the players off that have been here too long.
That's not what you just said, though.
And I'm far from a flip-flop when I've been Ange out from day 1.
What's this got to do with Ange? You keep returning to Ange like Ange has done anything.
Like that. You said I'm a flip-flop. Like players.
Yeah, and I just gave you exactly why. I just told you exactly why, and then you turned it to Ange. I never said anything about Ange. It's like self-defense. Let's blame Ange. I didn't say anything about Ange.
No. Okay. Players need the time to come in, do they not? We buy a player.
So you don't want to act like a big club now. You want to rotate youth.
We bought a player in Phillips that is a young prospect that needs time. Needs time to come in and learn. You just keep chucking out the Championship in League One. Where's he going to learn that from being in the Premier League?
Well, first of all, I mean, the Championship is probably the best place for a centre back to learn his trade because you ain't going to get much more physical than in the Championship, in my opinion. Second of all, you can't be saying sell players like Romero, act like a big club, and then play Ashley Phillips. 2 and 2 don't make it like it doesn't make sense. You're asking for 2 different things in the same opinion. It's.
Well, Romero's head's already gone, so sell him. Simple.
But so you don't want to act like a big club. Then you want to start playing players like Ashley Phillips, Dorrington, Alfie Devine. What do you want?
Devine's a quality young player, needs time. Ashley Phillips, another very good young prospect, needs time to come in and play with us. You
Okay,
can't have
then play
these
them.
youth
Then play them.
prospects.
Don't be moaning like Ange. You're a vendetta against Ange. Listen, I wanted Ange out, but then you're complaining when we play players like Archie Gray at right back or centre back or centre midfield. So when he does play him, you're moaning, and if he doesn't play him, you're moaning. So it's like, what do you want?
But then what Angus said, they brought in Martin
Angus is
Scott.
a fraud.
Never actually say that kid's name properly, the left back.
Shut up,
Martinelli.
Flower.
Giving him 15, 20 minutes a game. What's wrong with giving a youth player, if you're doing up 2-3-0, to give a youth player 20, 25, 30 minutes in a game, rest the first team players, play some kids in the FA Cup? Some of the things
You
we should
don't
have
bring
done
a
last
centre back
season,
on for 20 minutes.
rotation.
You don't do that, mate. I mean, I can't remember the last time if I ever saw they take off Ruben Diaz and Guardiola and bring on 2 17-year-olds. When have they ever done that? Unless I've missed something. Maybe it's me, but I've never seen that.
Pardon?
Even for Angus, when have they took off Saliba and Gabriel and brought on 2 17-year-olds because they're 2-0 up in the Premier League? Listen, one goal and they pulled the game back. The Premier League's the toughest league in the world for a reason. Or the most competitive,
They pull off both the centre backs. You pull off one and say, right, you need the rest. You played well. Well done, mate. Now I'm going to sub you on.
Okay,
so if he did that, point you bring on Kevin Danso.
So say if he does that, again, say if say first game of the season, Newcastle, we're 3-0 up, yeah, and he's got Dragoshin and Danso on the bench, and you say, nah, play Phillips on, brings Phillips on, and we draw 2-2. What are you going to say?
I'm going to turn around and say, give the kid a chance to prove himself.
No, you're
I'm
not.
sorry, you're not. You're not. No, you're not.
Danso, that I've already. Sorry, how are young players in the Premier League meant to get game time if you're not going to give them
Championship, League One? Yeah.
Championship.
I think, doesn't this go down to, guys, and look, the point I said just now, I'm going to say it. I feel like I made a wonderful point just now, obviously, because I made it. But let's be brutally honest. If you're at that stage, the sub-defenders aren't going to be the kids. It's going to be the Dansos. It's going to be the Davis. It's going to be the Dragoshins. And when we're talking about how the young players get game times in the Premier League, the top young players get game time in the Premier League. Look how good the academies are of the Arsenals, the Liverpools, the Chelseas. How many young players actually get game time? This year, this year, Liverpool and Chelsea. Let's use those two. Which young players got game time this year from Liverpool and Chelsea? Anyone?
Bradley. Is it Bradley, the right back?
Yeah, I was going to say
that's
Bradley.
it, I think.
To Conor Bradley.
What happens to Quansah?
Hang on. So Conor Bradley, who's been in and around the first team for a few years now, right? I'll concede that. Quansah's hardly getting any game time. Right, well, not anywhere near what he would be expecting. Who else?
Nope.
The year before,
and 1 year.
Hang on.
George.
Hang on. The year before, we were told all these young players that played for Liverpool in that cup final, remember, that won it against Chelsea. It was watch them next year, blah, blah. Hardly any of them break through. But now we're expecting Tottenham, who don't have the same level of players as City and Chelsea and Arsenal, but suddenly we're just going to go on all the young players, play. It's a real tough one, guys. I'm not saying it's right. I don't know. I think we've got too many young players. I think we've bought too many young players, and we think that they're all going to get given game time.
I have no problem with any of them playing, but my problem is don't be telling us to play like a big club and be a big club and win this, left, and that, and then moan at Ange for finish 17th, and then go, but we should be playing these youth players all the time. We should be giving them game time because your priority is either bringing the youth through or is to win football matches. So,
well, we weren't winning football matches anyway under Ange. So,
and you've gone back to Ange again,
But you brought it up first.
I didn't say
if we played the kids, would have got
needed
relegated.
a chance. That's where you give them the chance. And
I didn't say anything about Ange.
Kids, man, but he got relegated.
Huh?
Corey, you do.
We nearly got relegated with the so-called first team, so it doesn't.
And we
really
would have
matter,
been relegated with the kids. We would have been relegated with the kids.
You do sound.
We nearly got relegated with same guys.
Yeah, it is. Everything is to bash the club rather than see both sides of the coin. It's crap if we do, it's crap if we don't. It's like, make your mind up. What do you want? Look, I'm all here. Yeah, but I'm here to bash Levy. There's so many sticks I would like to bash Levy with, or Ange, or whoever. But I mean, even a second ago, you said a B-tiered rated European competition. Like, what the hell?
It is a
It's
the Champions League
just-
is where teams want to be.
Yeah, but
all right.
if
That's
we're
just
in the
mad.
Champions League, you're the one that's trying to say in that Champions League season, you want 18-year-old kids to be coming on for 20 minutes at the back. Like, which one is it?
To be fair,
Well,
Phillips
back
versus
up front,
Kvaratskhelia and Dembele, I'd like to see that.
Just give him a chance.
That'd be a
Don't
good
know,
interesting
do you?
afternoon.
Look, I just think I think what we've got to come to the realization of, guys, is we've got a lot of young players, and not many young players make it at any club. But the way we talk about ours is though that these are completely special and they're all going to get game time. They're all going to be magnificent. I mean, I heard you just now, Corey, say about you just said about Divine. I mean, let's be fair. Alfie Divine made his debut, I believe, under Jose.
5 years ago. Yeah, 5 years ago.
And no manager's given him a go. He's gone out on loan. At what stage do we go? Maybe he's not this player that the fan base think he is. Our fans are telling me that Vuskovic, the videos I'm seeing on Vuskovic, it's like we're talking about Maldini. And every time they show me a video of Vuskovic, it's not even him defending. It's him scoring a goal from a corner. And it's like, great, good, but how good are you at the back? And people are going, I think he's ready for first team. How do you know? Not you, but how do fans know that Vuskovic, because of a loan in Belgium, is ready to suddenly be our first choice centre half above Danso, Dragutin, Van der Ven and Romero? I feel like we're just putting a bit too much emphasis on this youth word.
Yeah, but Savva, they're all class.
Every fan base does it with their youth kids. Did it with
The problem
Mark
is that
Lowe. He
youth
turned out to be
kids-
world's best player, didn't he?
Generational.
I wouldn't say generational. They're talented players to
No,
be in
but-
around the first team, right? Otherwise, what's the point of having them there?
Yes, what your fans keep saying that all your players, all the young players are all generational. You're hyping them up too much.
So the only young player
trying to
that's
say
been
give
successful
chance.
last year was Bergvall. The only successful young player last year was
Agreed.
Bergvall. Archie Gray came in. I've got great hopes for him. Didn't do very well, but he was out of position. Needs some coaching. Actually, the perfect manager's just come through the door. We've then got, looking at them respectively, Mikey Moore needs game time. I'd probably stick him out on loan. I love the kid, but get out on loan for a year. I need to go and get kicked and just develop. There's not enough development going in the actual youngsters. You've literally got.
But then what if Frank comes in and says, right, Mikey, this is what we're going to do with you. You're going to stay in around the first team. I'm going to give you the time that you need. Do you think
Where?
coming in under 10, 15 minutes
Is
on
he
the
going to
game?
be able to?
Yeah.
Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate. Is he going to be able to? See, this is the thing. This is the difficulty for me. We want to bash Daniel Levy and the club about not buying better players, not playing better wages, not having squad depth. And then in the same sentence, we're saying, well, Mikey Moore could get loads and loads of game time. I don't see a world in which that can work. I just don't. I don't. Listen, I've not seen enough from Mikey Moore, which makes me go, ready. You are ready.
But-
For me, that loan, that's a loan. Gray should be a loan. Scarlett, get rid of him. Divine.
Yeah, I'll
get
agree
rid
with
of
that
him.
on the Scarlet.
Like, I think we need to stop being ruthless with some of these youngsters.
But
I was
even
on
people
shock-
that say, even people that say, like, agreeing with your point, even people that say, give him 10 minutes at the end of, say, 1 in 3 games, or give him 10 minutes at the end. Are you telling me that he's going to learn more in, say, 3, 4, 5 hours of football over a whole season than he is going to be playing week in, week out in the Championship or League One? I'm sorry, you learn your trade by playing. And it's all well and good playing in the under-21s, under-23s. You want them against centre-backs from the Championship, League One, League Two. Like for me, Donnelly last season played really well. Now do it in the league above, Championship level. See how you get on. If you then do it in a Championship at exactly the same as you did it in League One, I will then go, you know what? Yeah, this guy deserves a chance. For me, Mikey Moore's done nothing to deserve a chance. Phillips has done absolutely nothing. He's been poor on loan. what have any of these done to say, right, yeah, here you go, you deserve a start? I'll tell you who probably the only person that's been out on loan that probably deserves a chance is Solomon. No one else really.
Mate, Phillips was class at Plymouth.
Keely's had a good season in goal. Why not
That's
bring him
League
in?
One.
And we've
That's
got,
completely different.
A goalkeeper still needs to learn, right? Like he keeps saying, everyone needs to get learn to learn.
Yeah, but so here's what I'm saying. So if he's in League One now, he needs to go to the Championship.
Yeah,
you can't just bring him back into the champ. You can't go, right, yeah, he done really well in League One. This is now the Champions League. Vicario's got injured, on you go Keeley, and you're playing away in a Champions League. Everyone's slated Ange for dropping Gray in midfield against Liverpool away, but you guys are saying let's put all our kids on the bench and see what happens. And if we're away at a PSG or even like Galatasaray, like people were saying, then you don't be putting these players in that position. You could also damage them by putting them in too soon rather than allowing them to develop properly.
Yeah, the reason why Dele Alli was such a good story is because it's unusual. You don't pluck people from League One and drop them in the Premiership and they rinse it all the time. Mm-hmm. These lads need to go away in the nicest possible way. Go and with Mikey Moore, I mean it when I say go and get kicked. Go up against some proper hard-nosed defenders that are bigger than you, they're stronger than you, get kicked and work out how you're going to get around them, develop your skills, get stronger, and come back next year. You'll be a far better player for it. Don't sit in our under-21s and play 15 games off the bench if you're lucky, and then be like, oh, well, we've not really got anywhere. Well, of course you haven't. You need to go away for a year. So Divine needs to be sold.
Pete, don't you think it would be like, I think what James just said was right. Like if we look at like Jamie Donnelly's had a good year in Leyton Orient, right? For me now, now this year, maybe go to the Championship. Do what you've done in the League One in the Championship. But our fans are going, you know what? I think Jamie could start. And I'm looking at Jamie Donnelly going, listen, I'm not saying you're not a good footballer, but I don't think sometimes that people realise the level that they'll be playing at in the Premier League. I feel like we go, oh, look how good he was on loan at insert club, League One club. He can do it. Scarlett. Look at Scarlett. Didn't score goals anywhere he went out on loan. Couldn't get a game anywhere he went out on loan. But because he got a goal against Elfsborg, I tell you what, why do we need a backup striker? Why don't we use Scarlett? It's like, no, stop.
He's awful. He's awful, genuinely. I've wanted him gone for ages. So yeah, no. I'm interested to see what Lancashire can do on loan. Get a proper chance, maybe with Ryan Mason up at West Brom. Let's go see what you've got there.
Mm-hmm. We should use West Brom as our feeder club now. We should be going to Ryan Mason. Because let's be fair. If Ryan Mason truly thinks, and he's worked with all of these kids, if he truly thinks any of these are that good that they could be at Tottenham, wouldn't he be one of the first things he'd be doing is ringing back to his old club and going, hey, want me to blood Donnelly for you? Want me to take Dorrington? Do you know what I mean? Like, surely that's how you know. But when was the last time one of our young players went out and stood out on loan in the Championship? I'm going to go with Ollie Skip.
Yeah, he was fantastic.
Like really stood out. Really stood out. Not fans putting a little compilation together of a few tap-ins, but really stood out. Skip won Player of the Year, right?
Yeah, he won Player of the Year and Player of the Team of the Season for the Championship. Yeah, he was fantastic.
He won double player, didn't he?
Who else in the last 10 years or so has gone out on loan?
Solomon, but I don't know how old he is. But I don't think he's a kid, is he?
No, Solomon's 23, isn't he?
23.
Yeah, so we don't have anyone. This is what I was saying to.
He hasn't had a great, but he's had a decent season at the back.
This is what I was saying, though. We either need to decide, don't we? As a fan base, we need to decide, right, we want to push on and get rid of the kids, sell Romero, move forward.
Solomon's 26 next month, by the way.
He's not a kid anymore then.
He's 26 in July. Just so you know. I can't think of anyone. That's had that loan and you go, you've gone, you've shown it, you're ready for Tottenham.
I'm waiting for someone in the comments to say Harry Kane. I don't know.
Well, even Harry Kane.
He was rubbish on loan.
Yeah, I know. He failed massively.
We all know Kane didn't. But the Kane story, again, it's like what Pete, what you just said about the Dele Alli story. The Kane story, these are the anomalies. Yeah. If every kid who went out on loan and failed suddenly became a Harry Kane, we'd be laughing. But I don't see
But
that.
Kane did have 3 loans.
Didn't he have 5? Didn't he have more? Didn't he
Yeah.
have
5, yeah.
Norwich.
Millwall,
Norwich, Leicester,
Orient.
Millwall,
Millwall, Norwich, Leicester.
Orient? Didn't you go there?
He was at
Yeah,
Orient.
that was his first one.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. But
You know, and
do
that's
you
a
see
player
what I
like
mean?
Harry Kane. That took 4
Where's the-
years.
Yeah. Where's the? That's what I want to see. Let's use Jamie Donnelly as the example. I want to see Jamie Donnelly go to a championship team, get loads of goals, get loads of assists, stand out, and we go, actually, now he's done it. League 2, League 1, Championship. Now's your time. I can't look at him in League 1 and go, yeah, you're the guy I want playing in the playmaker role against PSG on a Wednesday night in the Champions League. Do you know what I mean? Like, I just don't think it.
Yeah,
it quite works.
and the higher you go up in the leagues, the quicker the football gets. So, like League 1, there was a lot of the time I thought he had, and this isn't knocking him, but I felt like he had quite a lot of time on the ball, but he still looked a little bit stuck in the mud. So for me, that's why I would like him to go up to the Championship to see a bit faster, a bit tougher. Have you still got the time on the ball? Because look, if he makes the game look slow by him being on the ball, then he's a very special talent. But the only way to test that is by going up through the leagues. The best players in the world can make the game look slow. So for me, it's okay. You did it in League 1. Well done. All props to you. Now let's go Championship. And if you could do it in the Championship, then I'm all for it. I said, right, like he deserves to be in the squad. Let's see what he can do. We can't just keep saying, yeah, X, Y, Z need to be starting. Like Phillips. Yeah, I think it was Plymouth. He had a good season. Was it Stoke last year? He had a bad season. Was it Stoke?
Yeah, Stoke.
Yeah,
Was terrible.
Yeah,
He didn't have a. Yeah, that's what I mean. So he struggled in the Championship, and we want to give him time in the Premier League and the Champions League. Like for me, no, you got to earn your stripes. You go out and learn your trade. You don't just go, right, yeah, that's it. I'm going to drop you from your daily job into a multi-million-pound company and crack on. It don't work like that.
Yeah.
No, Phillips needs another year minimum on loan for sure.
Yeah, I mean, yeah. Look, I mean, let's see, right? Who's going to go out on loan? I think we're going to see a lot of movement. But if we want to act like a Champions League club, I don't see there being a lot of room for the kids. I genuinely don't. And I think we've got to say that some of the boat has been missed in the last year or two when we've had the opportunity. This year we've had this is why I never bought the whole, we've thrown half the league season. We're throwing half the league season, play a JE on the right wing for 5-10 games at the end of the season. If we're throwing half the league season, bring back Phillips from loan and go, you're going to play the last 10 games of the season for Tottenham. You know, but we didn't do any of that. So I think we've missed that boat. Equally, sometimes, and I don't want to sound negative, by the way, I've just found out there is an account going around the internet onto other chat rooms called Savva _Frank Sexual. That's nice, isn't it? Savva the Frank Sexual.
Sav, you're living rent free in their head, mate. They've got to make
I'll
fake
take
accounts.
it. Savva the Frank Sexual. That sounds nice. Maybe, just maybe, guys, these players aren't good enough. Like, how many players? You think every year, how many players are released from academies across the country? Thousands, right?
Thousands.
Oh, loads. Yeah.
How many make it? Like, it's so few and far between. Let's be fair. Let's look at the big clubs this year. Arsenal, all right? Lewis Skelly, you would say, already made it. England team, Arsenal's left back. Boom, boom, boom. Done. Waneri, not as immediate an impact as Lewis Skelly in terms of the game time, getting games here or there, coming off the bench. Cool. Man City, Nico O'Reilly, you would say, has come in and played a lot of games this season, and McAtee. Bearing in mind, these are playing with the best players out there, so they're playing in really good, settled teams. Chelsea, I think were afforded the luxury of the Conference League to play the likes of George in the league. Who were they bringing in that was 18, 19 from the youth team? Villa.
That whole squad's like 12, though, isn't it? The Chelsea team. They're all young.
It is, but I'm talking about from the academy. I'm talking about academy footballers. Now go to Villa. Which academy footballers at Villa were getting games this season? Right?
Really.
Now go to Liverpool. You would say Quansah played every now and then. Bradley is the one. Bradley's the one player. Newcastle. Lewis Miley not getting as much game time as the year before when they had injuries, right?
No.
So you could do this all the way through the league. This is why it's so rare that a player from an academy, you go, oh my God, Premier League footballer. Because if it was easy, every academy player would make it. Williams Barnett at the moment is being talked about like he's a god. I bet most people haven't ever seen him play. Do you know what I mean? It's like
I've never heard of him.
He's a 15, 16 at Spurs. Like his figures are brilliant, but hey, Troy Parrott at youth level was prolific, right?
Yeah.
So I can say Eddie Nketiah. That's what I'm gonna say.
He's a bad example at the minute, Savage. Just smashed him in at the header, is he? He looked like he might be coming back to our league.
Need to come back so we need to meet the quota.
Yeah, I mean, I'll say I don't think he gets over 10 to 11 Premier League goals, whoever he plays for. I feel, but you get my point in general, right? Like there's no divine right. There's no, and our fans seem to think that Gunter's going to make it, and Keeley's going to make it, and Dorrington, and Phillips, and Vuskovic, and Keeley, and Gray, and Bergvall, and it's like, and Moore, and Yang.
That's
And it's
because
like,
they're all world class. They're all world class, mate.
yeah, it doesn't.
That's the problem.
I don't know. I'm just a bit. I don't know what we think. I think we think too much.
If we're going to give them all 10 minutes, we just have to rotate the kids for the full 90 minutes and play none of the first team.
We might finish higher than 17th.
Club.
Yeah. I think we've got to be really careful what we ask for. As I said, I think we've missed that boat. I think definitely the year when we were playing once a week, and had injuries was a year where you could have said, right, Phillips, right, whoever, and we didn't. This year, apparently through the league, didn't try it there. I want to move on to a different subject though, guys. I want to move on to the subject of Son. There's a lot of reports coming out today. Just for you, James. I think it's Ali Gold. Hang on, somebody's just sent it to me. I think Ali Gold has just said, no, that's the big six. Here we go. Son Heung-min is more open to a move away from Tottenham Hotspur than he has ever been before. Lots of reports in the last sort of 72 hours that his agent is speaking to people in the likes of Saudi and Galatasaray and Bayern Munich and this sort of thing. Guys, is it the right time now? Is it the right time to say, thank you, you've got your trophy, we need to kick on? Is it the right time?
I love the guy. Sorry.
Go on, mate, go on. No, go on.
I was going to say, I love Sonny to bits. He's been a fantastic servant to the club. He is loved and adored by all the fans, but last 2, maybe 3 seasons, he's not really been at it. He's lost a bit of his pace. He doesn't take on players anymore as well as what he used to. He's lost some of that sparkle that I always used to get up out of my seat when Sonny was running down that wing. I've loved the guy to bits, but it's another one of those I feel like we've held on to for a little bit too long. Like with Lloris, like with Ben Davis, we've held on to too long. I love the guy to bits, but yeah, please, like, you have my graces. You have helped us as fans see that we can win stuff. But go out and earn the bag in Saudi, mate. Go and get you £1 million a week. That's where the money is. Free.
What about America? That's what I'm thinking.
Yeah, no, but I'm mostly in America now. Most of the players aren't looking at it. They're like, oh, Saudi's over now. I could go to the MLS and earn this amount, or I could go to Saudi and earn this amount.
Yeah, no, but imagine Son, Messi and Suarez up front for Inter Milan.
That's an anomaly, really, isn't it? But most of these players are looking at Saudi like, hang on, I think I'm worth about £1 million a week here. You know, Sonny can quite easily get the same amount as what Ronaldo does in that league because of his name and what he brings in.
I think Son will leave, but I don't think he should go Saudi. I don't think culturally it will fit with him. I think that's why it's taken so long. Why he didn't go last year.
Germany, then go back to Germany. I'm sure they'll welcome him back at Leverkusen.
Well, there's talk that Bayern Munich want him. I don't know how true, but there is talk that Bayern Munich want him.
I would, for me, I know I have this persona about hating Son, but it's actually not the case. For me, there's only two better wingers played for Tottenham that I've seen in my lifetime, and that's Ginola and Gareth Bale. Other than that, his Son is up there with those guys as such. But you have to. It comes to a point. Like for me, I thought he was terrible last season as well. I think he stat packed loads of goals, but I think his impact to game, his runs, his movement, I thought it all struggled last season, and that's when I would have told him. I'd love him to see nothing else than him go and get the Saudi money or go and link up with Harry Kane again. Why can't we swap Heung-min Son for Polina? I would bite their arm off for that.
That would be an interesting swap as well.
Would anyone keep him?
Not for me.
No. Like I said, the last 2-3 seasons, he's not really been as sharp as what he normally is. When Kane left, he lost a lot of what his game was. If I'm being honest, once Kane went, that would still talk about Kane 2 years on. But he definitely lost a part of his game there without his mate there. If he goes to Bayern Munich, Jesus, they're going to be laughing with them two up front.
I think it depends on his attitude, doesn't it? Because for me personally, if we keep him and sign Eze and Eze their number one and he's our backup, depends on his attitude towards that is depending on if you keep him or not. If he's happy to come on the last 10, 15 minutes, then great. If not, then, which I don't think he will, he has to be sold.
Yeah. I mean, isn't this the reason, guys, that we triggered the 1-year contract extension? Actually, before I ask you guys that, I've got to do some super chats. Big up to my man SOF out there in the US. Big up to you, my man. I said, how do we know Frank didn't just want Graham Johnson for Brentford to finish mid-table? Perhaps he'll want better at Spurs. And I'll tell you what, it's not a bad shout. It's not a bad shout. When a lot of people are saying, oh, well, Frank wanted Gray and Johnson. Yeah, well, maybe the remit is different. So it's food for thought, SOF. We'll find out, won't we? We'll find out. If on day one, Archie Gray's our number 6 and Brennan Johnson's our centre forward, then we've got the answer to our question. But we'll see. Big up to you. Thank you very much. Really appreciate that, my man. Hope you're well. PJ Berlin, is that your surname or where you live? I mean, it doesn't really matter, but just wanted to know. That's quite a cool name. PJ Berlin. Sounds like an author of fantasy novels. Thank you very much for the super sticker. Thank you very much. The super sticker train is in full motion. Big up to you, PJ. Really appreciate that, my friends. Very generous of you. And then my man SOF has come back in again. Very generous. Thank you, bro. Said, if Son leaves, Ange in fans can't. I love that we've still got Ange in, Ange out fans. Like he's gone. I love it. We've still got it. Still got it. Ange in fans can't criticize Frank because they've made the excuse for Ange that he lost Kane for 2 seasons. Laugh out loud. Yeah. Look, if Frank doesn't have Kane or Son, then surely we can't expect anything from him because that's the way football works. Big up to you, SOF. Really appreciate you. I mean, for me, when I heard that the 1-year extension was triggered, my first thought was finance. I know that's really sad, but that was my first thought was surely this is either to get a fee for him or to keep him for his commercial revenue. Either way, it's a financial decision, not a footballing decision. Is that fair, or does anyone think I'm being harsh?
No, that's completely an honest view to have on it because the amount of money Sonny brings in on these shirt sales alone, I see close to 15 million, 20 million a year in shirt sales around the world and other merchandise with Sonny's face and name on it. You know, I mean, I go through Facebook and stuff like that. Like literally 48 hours after we'd won the Europa Cup, there's like little Pops figures coming out with Sonny with a cup with 3 different versions of it you can buy of him. With Sonny's face alone, there's no other player that was picked. It was all just Sonny, you know. So Sonny is a selling point for this club, but sometimes you have to sell these players to move forward. All right, you might take that financial hit, but then we might find the next South Korean, the next
We've already got him.
Japanese wonder kid. Well, the Hook, if you can call him the next one. But I mean, the Asian market is there if you look properly. There are some very good players out in Japan, some very good players. But it's finding that right one to come in. It's the Asian market is huge. It's the next one. You've got Son, South Korean. You've got, Matoma could come in being from Japan, and you just look through the Japan team. You look through the Korean teams. You can look through any of those teams and those divisions and find a gem at a good price and bring him in. And then hopefully he turns out like Son, but then you could be not getting the same as Son.
Yeah,
Son brings in money, but do you really just want to keep hold of the guy that is? Yeah. There you go.
But we do this though, guys, don't we? I feel like there are certain players where we're so scared to let players go. We're so scared to sell big name players, so to speak, aren't we? Like, if any time you've mentioned in the last 2-3 years, I'd sell some for 100 million. What do you mean? He's amazing. I'd never sell him. And then we get to the stage where we're like, we want to buy new players, but hang on, where's the money coming from? We're all a bit arse about face at this football club, aren't we? We're all a bit strange.
I think a lot of that.
Well,
I think a lot of that comes from.
Oh, sorry, Paul. Go on, Paul. I'll get Angus after.
A lot of it comes, I think, with Sonny, that we've got previous history of selling players for 100 mil, Kane, Bale. And what do? We absolutely waste it. So we've got no confidence in them buying a player that will replace Sonny. It'll be more like another Yang that will come up and coming, that we've got 3 seasons to wait until he actually makes it. I think that's the biggest problem, the biggest fear that fans have, in that sense that we're just going to blow the money. We can sell him for 40 or 50 million, and then we'll just go and buy somebody else on the wing, that, like Tell, for example, and go and spend 40 million on him. It's like, hang on a minute. And then they'll complain when we lose games.
Yeah, my problem is, it's almost like a pantomime. No matter who the hero is, if you leave him there long enough, they'll become the villain. And that's exactly what happened with Hugo. Hugo, for me, he wasn't world class, but it was just underneath it. He was so good for me. They kept him, that he become just clumsy. It was like, all right, this guy's got to go now. Then everyone's like initial opinion is, oh, he's got to go. We've got to go.
With me, with Hugo, with that one, I'd say the injury at Brighton where he broke his wrist / going up his arm, I think that's what also set him back as well, because he was actually having a pretty decent season up to that point. Then when he come back, he wasn't the same, was he?
I also don't think like Daniel Levy can win either, though. Like, again, not sticking up for the guy, but look at the stick we're getting for signing on Ben Davis. Imagine if we sign on Ben Davis and then sell him. Like, our fan base can't wait to bash our club in some way, whether it's people calling out Frank and he ain't even signed yet, Levy when we haven't even signed a player yet. There's always something to bash them. I mean, if you are the owner of the club, you don't just let your players go for free. You'd sign him and sell him if that was the case. Or what you'd do is you'd sign him on and then sell somebody else that's worth money, and you've got a backup there waiting. So I personally think that it's time to just sell up. If they're past, they're not part of the first team, sell them. Move forward.
Yeah. But that's what clubs do all the time. They recycle and move on. City do it rather well. Chelsea, Liverpool, all the teams around us seem to do it better than what we do. And we hold on to a player for far too long, and then he loses value. He loses what made him that player that was brought for that price. Sonny, we could probably realistically get 40, maybe 50 at a push for him from Saudi or someone in Europe, hopefully. And then we're going to take the commercial hit. But, we have to move forward. We have to be ruthless now.
Yeah, for me, it's obvious the Son is off, mate, because of the pre-season. It's the shortest time we've spent over there since he's been here. So he's going to have his 1 week, which is the one week we're there. He'll have one game. It'll be farewell. Cheers very much. Love you, mate. Shake hands, walk away. And who is it that we're playing over there out of interest? Isn't it Munich?
God knows.
But I would. I mean,
all the pre-seasons roll into one, don't they?
But is everybody happy with that though? Like, I would love him to go over there, play in front of his home fans, and then leave. And then I think that's a lovely way to do it.
Yeah, that would be a fantastic way to do it. I would say thank you, Sonny. I mean, I love the guy. He has been, like I said, a fantastic servant, but he's lost some of that what made him special over the last few years. To me, I love the guy, and then come back 5-6 years time, be a coach. You know, bring the next youth through for us. Be that be that guy that can be the ambassador for this club, like Ledley.
Yeah, they're one in a million though. Ledley's a Tottenham through and through, from kids to retiring. That's a different case. And I personally don't really think. I know a lot of people say, "I'll get Sonny to come back and be a coach." I don't see a coach in Sonny. I think he's too soft. I think he's too friendly.
Yeah. I can see him being an ambassador.
I want my coaches, which is another thing I'm really happy with what I'm reading with Thomas Frank demanding his coaches. I think that I want my coaches to be like, listen, we're all here to learn and get on, but I ain't messing about. Like we're here to win games as well. Like, and now I don't think he has that, which is why I personally don't think he made a good captain. It's why I personally don't think he ever played good in a final or a semi-final. I mean, I know he lifted the trophy this season, and fair play, but it was bloody awful when he stepped onto the pitch. I don't think he has that in him. I don't think he has that dog in him to sort of push to that next level.
He was very funny when he was lubricated, wasn't he? He was very funny when swearing at everyone in the coach. Listen, guys, I'm going to end it there unless there's anything really pressing that anyone wants to talk about. By the way, Netherlands won 8-0 tonight. Mickey van der Ven, one of the goal scorers. No doubt there'll be videos of that goal telling us why he should now be Ballon d'Or winner. Listen, guys, we'll do these shows all throughout the summer. Big couple of days. I'm expecting tomorrow, Thursday, hopefully we get the here we go properly that he has actually signed, and then we can move forward to the transfer market. Just before we go, big up to Finn McMullen, very, very generous, said Vuskovic is a top talent. Frank coach a monster, future 6. I'll be honest, Finn, I can't sit here and praise him. I've only seen highlights like everyone else. I think, as with anything, I think we've got a tendency to maybe get a bit too excited. However, if he's coming back to Spurs, let's see. Take him on the pre-season tour. Let's see him play. Let's see him play in some of the games and see, is he ready or is it all hype? Because last summer, if everyone remembers, people wanted Donnelly to stay. People wanted Tyrese Hall to stay. People want, you know what I mean? It was like, we do get carried away in pre-season by seeing anybody who's under the age of 19 kick a football. We think they're always going to be brilliant. But
the only thing I would say, I mean, I've been watching some of your shows, but I haven't actually asked you. But for me, I think the difference is I personally think Frank's a top coach, top coach. And I think that would be the difference with the youth, whereas Ange, in my opinion, was never a coach.
I'm all aboard. Listen, he is a top coach. James, I think I've probably bored all my viewers for 2 years saying, I don't want Ange, I want to coach. I want to coach. I want to coach. I want to coach. That's why I'm happy. That's why I'm like a pig in shit. I want a coach who can grab these players. The problem, as with anything, is it's just squad space. It is going to be squad space. How do you get... We've got a massive squad. I hear people all the time say, oh, we don't have any depth. We've got a massive squad. We just didn't use it properly, in my opinion.
Didn't we sell the Deadwood last summer?
Well,
we all waxing lyrical about being shit.
No, James, we sold all the Deadwood the summer before, mate. What do you mean last summer? The summer before?
Oh yeah, Kane Deadwood. Yeah, we sold him.
The funny thing is, we do this a lot, right? We overhype players that we sign, only to call them Deadwood a few years later when a new manager comes in and we want better players. It's like we're just in this loop, aren't we? Of like, I remember for years I said, Sissoko, don't want him. Aurier, don't want him. Ndombele, don't want him. Lo Celso, Dyer, Winks. Oh, you're negative, you're toxic. Give them time. Suddenly, but look at the Deadwood. What, you mean all the players we've been talking about that everyone wanted? Like, this club, we love this club. We do love this club. Guys, I am going to leave it there. Much love to everybody. I'll be back live tomorrow morning, 10 a.m. for the normal morning show. There'll be one of them every day for the summer because I've got a feeling Spurs are going to be very busy bees and we love the chat. At 5 p.m. Is Savva and Stell Ask Us Anything, but tomorrow it's going to be Savva and Lubo. Stell isn't available, so Lubo's going to fill in for him. So you're getting all your questions about Archie Gray, and I'm sure he'll be happy to answer those for you. And then that's it. I can't think more than 24 hours in advance. I can't do it. James, Paul, Marios, Angus, Pete, Corey, thank you very much, guys. Thank you to Brian Dagul, who gave me an hour. Thank you to little Matty K. Good luck, little Matty K, with your maths exam tomorrow. Rather you than me. Hated maths. Take care, everyone. And as always, come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you Spurs.
Come on, you guys.